This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox Newscast. Welcome, everybody. I almost hit the wrong button. How are you? This is, I'm Colteastwood. And what a crazy, oh my gosh, it's been game overload. I've been having such a great time. How are you, Mag? It's just you and me today.
Yeah, it's just well, it usually is, but last week we had a wonderful special guest. So if you didn't go watch that show, go watch it. It was myself, Colt, and Paris. We had a great show together. But anyways, it's the two of us here today. Chat, how are you doing? How is everybody going? How's the week going for everybody? I know it's only Monday, but for me, that's already like the third day in the work week. So either way, let's get into the show. We got some things to talk about. We have some fun, and like I said, we're looking directly in the eyes of one of the greatest video gaming years in a very long time. So let's get into this topics, baby.
I know it's crazy to think about. Like, it's already popped off. There's so much to play, and you called me on Friday, and it's funny, guys, when Mag calls me. Like, you think he's energetic when he's on the show. Like, when he's on the phone, he's pacing the house. He's, I can tell he's like, Cole, I gotta tell you, Cole, are you listening? Cole, are you sitting down? I'm like, what's going on? And we had a good conversation on Friday, and then you said you were going to work on Saturday. So we've been talking behind the scenes. Stuff's brewing.
We have
a lot of cool stuff. Yeah. We're going to talk today about a little bit about what's going on with Warner Brothers. There's a lot of good and bad stuff. We're also going to be talking about Grand Theft Auto 6. His news has been up and down. If you've subscribed to the Mag Show on YouTube, Mag's channel, he's covered the Grand Theft Auto stuff. He's covered some of the Final Fantasy rumors. Well, we can get into a little bit more about that as well. We're also going to talk about gaming journalism and gaming news, because it has been really interesting. And like Meg said, if you didn't get a chance to watch our last show, it was unconventional for us, because I wrote a bunch of questions, and Mag and Paris and I just talked about where's the industry now and where's it going. And I know there's a lot of complaining out there, but I'm really happy with just the amount of games, and some of these publishers are being able to pull miracles when the industry seems to be so like turmoiled. Is that a word, Mag? Turmoiled?
It is, but it's Western games that are turmoiled, not everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just fine.
Yeah. So yeah, we appreciate you here. If you're here, and we can see you, we can see that you're here. Hit the like button, show your support of the show. Hit the like button is really helpful. Also, thank you for being in the chat. We appreciate you, Danta and Happy Bomb, for holding down the fort every single week, and we're really glad. Whoa, I just put there we go. Put a preview window and it covered up my whole screen. Sorry about that. So it probably went gray there for a second. Yeah, we appreciate everything. Yeah. Well, sorry, man.
You know what's funny? I know it's okay. I was just going to say something. You mentioned about the mods in the chat and whatever else. And I am happy to announce that the first mod on my channel is officially Magnum.
Oh,
that's right.
There he is, right there.
That's right. The scumbag extraordinaire himself is my first modder on the channel, and not modder, excuse me, moderator. I'm so happy to have him there. And he's like, Mag, there was some guy. I was doing the live stream last week with my wife on the Till Death Do Us Part episode 3, right? And we were doing the show, and it was going great. A lot of live viewers, whatever else. And some guy came in there. I'm not even gonna give him the credit of his name. He was just being a complete idiot. And Magnum's just like, Mag, make me a mod. And I'm just like, all right, dude, you're in. So Magnum is officially my first mod, but yeah,
that's great.
Noisy Mofo, you didn't ask. You were there in the chat. You didn't even ask. He asked first. You ask and ye shall receive.
Yeah.
Although Noisy Mofo, I'll make you a mod too the next live stream. All right. Promise.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Give it up to Mag, just making everybody a mod like as soon as possible. Shout out to Panther Blue, says love the show. We appreciate you. And Chase said money just got better. And shout out to Lotus's Free Wave in the chat. Appreciate them for being here as well. Our good friend Nuke Nukem, who just started a new podcast. So he's cranking through content creation. So check out Nuke Nukem's channel if you want to see some discussion and some wild and crazy ideas and a fun show. We appreciate all you guys for supporting us. Mag, what have you been playing? I got to ask you first. What have you been doing besides the Till Death Do Us Part? And
Well,
lots of
I
content?
I did 2 videos this week. The latest video I did on Sunday, getting some decent traction now, talking about Final Fantasy games coming to Xbox officially. Not officially, but it will be coming. The word is we will hear about it if you didn't watch my video. But you know what? First of all, hold on a second. There's like 15,000 people that watch this show. I've got 500 views already. Okay, that means that there's 14,500 people that didn't go check out the latest video. Either way, go check it out. Yeah. All right, and I'm talking about Final Fantasy.
I was going to say that while you're talking. You said your video's getting traction. Isn't it crazy? You send a video out to the YouTube, you know, the alleyways of YouTube or the highway of YouTube, and there's billions of people, and it's like, oh, that many views. It can be polarizing, but it's also really rewarding either way. Yeah. And shout out to Sith Lord in the chat as well, who's here at Halloween tonight. Sith Lord reaches out every Monday. We appreciate Sith quite a bit. So you're getting some traction on the Final Fantasy video, but you also
the Final Fantasy one. Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm leading it to you.
You're asking me.
Yeah.
I thought you were just like me. Like I thought you were like I didn't realize you.
Wouldn't it be better if we were in the same room doing the show? Wouldn't that be so much better?
the last 3 videos, the third last one I did about Capcom, the Capcom like little showcase where they talked about Monster Hunter Wilds and Onimusha Way of the Sword, and then the second last one is by far my best thumbnail ever. I just thought it was fun because I figured out how to superimpose pictures on top of pictures, so I'm like, ooh, it's nice now. I talked about the Take-Two earnings call because I was on the call. So I was listening to all of it, and then I decided after the call was over, and then Strauss Zelnick did an interview with Vulture Beat after, not Venture Beat, folks, Vulture Beat after the earnings call. It's like he's saying 2 different things at once, and I'm just like, what the hell is this guy talking about? So I made a video called "Is GTA absolutely coming in 2025?" Take-Two earnings call, broken down. So I talked about that. And I talked about how he says one thing on the call where he's like, okay, well, we're still targeting 2025. It's coming 2020. And then I noticed a lot of media outlets and some YouTubers, well, most YouTubers were out there like, oh, it's confirmed 2025. But then he sits down with Vulture Beat and then he says, well, slippage can occur. So, it might be delayed. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah, I know. Slippage. What a weird word to use. And then I'm like, okay, dude, which one is it? You know what I'm saying? Like I say, it's like you're saying, yeah, it's coming, but it might not. And I'm like, okay, to me, that's more mixed messages. Now, the Final Fantasy 7, that's the one that I released Sunday. I was talking about that. Not 7, Final Fantasy in general. Talked about how there's going to be an Xbox partnership, not like a show or a video or something like that. And looks like it's going to hit sometime in March. The word I'm hearing is March 3rd. Whether that comes true or not, who the hell knows? I'm just saying that's what I heard. But it'll be in March. I'm hearing March 3rd. And the first one that they're going to talk about and release is going to be Final Fantasy 16 for Xbox. And then later on down the road, whether it's later this year or even into 2026, Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Now, to not get people's minds twisted, it does not mean Game Pass. Unless there's something behind the scenes that we don't know about. I said I'd be completely shocked if it was. But a partnership is a hell of a lot different than a Game Pass deal. Right, so it's just something that is saying, okay, well now they're publishing it for the Xbox platform. Does not translate to it's going to Game Pass.
Yeah, and this is different from the 2019 when they brought a bunch of Final Fantasy games back to the platform. Like they were not on Xbox in 2019, and Square Enix partnered with a bunch of those in Game Pass in 2019, if I remember. But I'm with you, Mag. I don't know anything about that as far as Game Pass, but I would assume that whatever you're hearing is right. That Final Fantasy 16 would just be available to purchase. Square wants to increase the purchasing power of that game. And I also agree. Nate the Hate said that Final Fantasy, what do we call it? 7? What the 2019 release?
The 7 remake and then
the 7 remake is it's supposed to come out like this holiday, this end of year. And he had originally heard that it was going to be announced at the Developer Direct. And Nate the Hate's a guy who gets most stuff correct. He predicted that Starfield was coming to PlayStation 6-8 months ago. That hasn't come true, and that probably won't come true for a while. That was one thing he was off on. We're always off on something. But he is heard. It is. Yeah, it is. Sometimes things change, which we could talk about a little bit later. There's a whole icon mess with the games journalists and gaming sites and stuff. But see if I can remember what I was saying. The Nate the Hate said that he thought it was going to be at the Dev Direct. Turns out his information was really catered toward some type of reveal event. And this is where you heard, Mag, that there's some type of public partnership showcase, like some kind of like
it's gonna be like a
live
video
stream
or
direct video or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Capcom just did with that with their little miniature show that they put on. Just a few minutes for each game, saying, "Hey guys, this is what's happening. This is what we're working on. This is when it's coming out," and then they just give a little expose into the game. But I got to tell you this though, it's funny. I heard about the Final Fantasy games. Well, I mean, most of us heard about the Final Fantasy games going to Xbox a lot earlier than Developer Direct. However, I did hear the same thing. That one of the people I was talking to saying it might be at the Direct and it might be the 5th hidden game or whatever besides Ninja Gaiden, because I already knew Ninja Gaiden was coming out. I did a video about that a week before the Developer Direct about Ninja Gaiden. But the thing is, they also said they also might show Final Fantasy 16, and I'm like, okay, but they said they can't corroborate that. So now I got word that no, it's going to be March, and looks like March 3rd if I got my dates correct here. Let me just double check. But,
which is a good month before the Nintendo Switch Direct, the big reveal.
March 3rd. And then Nintendo's April 1st, right?
Yeah, I keep thinking it's April 2nd. I think it's April 2nd. April 1st would be a weird day to do that, but
I mean, it'd be April Fools, and then they just decide they're not releasing it. They're just going to call it the Switch U.
Yeah, the Switch U.
It's going to be the Switch U. They're like, there is no Switch 2, ladies and gentlemen. It's called the Switch 2 and Switch U. And then Reggie Fils-Aimé comes back and he just goes, "Fool you," wearing his dark helmet thing, and then that's it, and he leaves.
I mean, we don't normally talk about Nintendo on here, but I want to ask the audience in the chat, do you think a little bit of the pizzazz is taken away from the Nintendo Switch because it's just a bigger Nintendo Switch with a little bit more power? You and I, Meg and I, both would agree that the Switch 2 is going to just explode off the shelves. I would think, but I wonder if there's a little bit of people who are like, I think I might have said this last week, like, oh, it's cool, it's bigger, I'm good. They're going to do some back and compat support, so maybe I'm good for a while. Like, do I need to rush out and get it? Maybe the FOMO is just going to be crazy either way. I don't know.
I don't know. You know what the thing is? I mean, it's going to sell incredibly well. It's going to sell out. However, I think that a lot of people that do have the Switch, you're not wrong. I think that a lot of people that do have the Switch might just stick with it, be like, you know what? I could still play the games here. I got it right here. I'm not buying Switch for the power. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not buying it for the power. You're buying it for the games. You're buying it for the ingenuity of the product. Like, the Switch was like a somewhat revolutionary product, being like the kind of thing that you could dock and then you could take with you as a handheld. That had not been really done before in the way that they had done it. And then, of course, being able to remove the controllers and Joy-Cons and having, your rooftop parties and this and that. I think the novelty, that's the other thing about Nintendo, is that usually when they release a console, generally speaking, there's some kind of a novelty to the item that attracts people to purchase it. Like, there was such a huge shift in the console when they released the Wii, right? Because you went from like a traditional sit-down console with a controller, with a wire, right into the box, and then whatever, and then all of a sudden you have this thing that's wireless with motion controls, the whole 9 yards. It revolutionized the normie audience of the gaming world, right? And then it just brought it, you know what I mean? It just opened up that whole market of normies out there, whereas the hardcore, okay, we all had it too, but because it opened up that market even further, it was just like sort of this revolution of ideas, or evolution and revolution of ideas, of both, right?
Yeah.
And so it's pretty cool.
Like evolution. Richard M says, I was expecting cardboard. Remember the Nintendo Labo?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The Labo or Labo, whatever you call it. And then, but this, you're not wrong. The Switch 2 is just a more powerful of the same thing, and it's just slightly bigger. So you're not getting that, that whole interesting new idea where, there's going to be a lot of parents out there saying, all right, it's bigger and a little faster, but that means nothing to my 5-year-old. So guess what? I'm just going to keep the Switch.
Or my 17-year-old.
Or your 17-year-old, whatever, right?
Really
what I'm saying? That don't really care. It's just there it is. So you might actually it might not be as huge as the Switch was and the Wii, were at launch. So I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see. But also, don't underestimate Nintendo. Elite Shot, thank you for the compliments, by the way.
Yes,
Elite
thank you,
Shot
guys.
In the chat he said some, and actually everybody else in the chat have been
Steelofax and Brothers Grimm as well. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Everybody.
Our rear end's hanging out here in the breeze sometimes when we go live, huh, Meg?
Yeah, man, it's great. I love it. It's wonderful. I mean, I just see everybody just saying hi and
Yeah, and
telling
big
us how
props
much
to
they
Mag
like the show.
because I spend about an hour kind of mulling over the news and making sure I have all the topics and stuff. And I never bother to send him Mag because Mag loves to come in hot and fresh, like a hot pocket, just steaming out of the microwave. And we appreciate you. We have a good time on the show. And I was going to ask you, I think originally I was asking you before we started talking about Nintendo and Grand Theft Auto and Final Fantasy, like what you're playing. But I mean, it's kind of like something we do to break the ice. But you and I have been doing the show for so long together. We don't really have to break the ice. You just have to break necks. But
break necks, man. I don't step on toes. I step on necks. Chuck Norris said that.
Yeah, well, he did a lot of things. I've been playing a couple games that I am not even allowed to talk about yet. But I played South of Midnight Preview tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I don't know. I've got it scheduled. Tomorrow morning, if you're in the U.S. or North America, tomorrow morning I've got a preview video for South of Midnight. I got hands-on with that, and then I just uploaded last night my Avowed review. So yeah, really, really having a good time just playing stuff. And then I got contacted about a couple of other games that are coming in the near future that I'm going to be playing. So it's been overload of how many games are available, and people are already talking about the beta of Monster Hunter Wilds, and Monster Hunter Wilds kind of went on my back burner for the radar because there's been so much to look forward to just before that comes out. So a beta wasn't on my mind, but have you heard anybody talking about their experience with Monster Hunter Wilds?
Ironically, it's I am hearing some things, and some of the responses I've been getting are pretty mixed, which is weird because Monster Hunter Wild. Yeah, I've got about 4 or 5 people that reached out to me that's saying it's great, but it's still missing X, Y, and Z, and it's just not what I expected. We wanted to take it up a little notch. However, Capcom is incredibly intuitive when it comes to talking to the people and dealing with the customer. And any little tweaks and whatever will be fixed, but by the time the game comes out, these were very minor things, but it was still enough to cause enough of an issue for some people. They're saying, yeah, they need to fix this before launch, and I'm not, you know what I mean, fix this, fix that before launch. I'm not going to get into all the details because if you don't play Monster Hunter, it's all just jibber jabber of all the little things that they're talking about.
It's the fine-tuned stuff that's really important to them. I saw a guy ranting and raving in utter joy and excitement over he went to craft a weapon, and the girl with the big floofy blonde hair was forging his sword, and he goes, oh my gosh, I wonder if this is like a canned animation, like she's probably just going to act like she's doing it and then just cycle that over and over. And he starts watching, and he's doing live commentary, and she forges a sword and pulls it out, hammers it a couple times, put it back in the forge, brings it out, hammers it a different way. And he's like, oh my gosh, she's doing something different. Then she puts the sword back in, and I'm watching this unfold in a minute. And this guy is so excited. It's so funny. The littlest details, like when the door gets pushed shut or the grass blades move, or people or gamers will absolutely go gaga over it. And then she pulls the sword out and she turns around and quenches it in the water. Oh my gosh, she's quenching it. And the chat's going crazy, and she pulls the sword out and then does one more thing, and then she sets it down. And I don't know. I just thought Capcom is amazing at their level of detail.
They are incredible. They are incredible. Like I said, the gripes. Excited. Oh yeah, the game is going to be a smash hit. There's no question. I think it was Red Wolf in the chat said the same thing. But it absolutely will be a huge hit. Capcom just continues to knock games out of the park. And like I said, the gripes that I did hear, they were very minor, but they were there for a reason, because you're playing a beta and they just need to fine tune some of those little items that they need to iron out. And that was all it was. So, before anybody gets twisted, like, oh, Meg's hearing that it's not good. No, I'm not hearing that at all. Hearing the game's magnificent. It's just there's some fine tuning things and some people that are getting some,
Do you remember any of the gripes, or is it just pretty minuscule or kind of off of your
very
level
minuscule.
of expertise?
I would have to go through my messages and read them all again. My brain focus, processes so much stuff that I can't remember everything. There's just too much going on.
I know.
It's wild.
Marsh says Monster Hunter is amazing, and I only played Monster Hunter World a little bit. I didn't quite understand it, and then funny enough, Dragon's Dogma 2 kind of helped me understand part of those mechanics that carry over.
Yeah.
When I was at PAX last September, they had big monitors. They had people physically playing the game. And it was one game I couldn't turn my eyes away from because it just looked so next level. Like the lumbering beasts with their fur and everything moving. It just felt like something like gaming's finally advancing in a certain direction. So I love to see stuff like that, and Capcom has something amazing on their
They
on
do,
their plate.
and you know what? Capcom respects their IP, and they don't like, especially a lot of their IP are legacy IP at this point. Like, I mean, some games are 30 plus, 30 years old at this, you know what I mean, at this stage of the game, and so they respect their IP, like Resident Evil. Okay, fine. They may have slipped up a little bit with Resident Evil 6. They didn't have a huge budget for the game. It was what it was. But boy, did they ever take it. They took a step back. They took a deep breath, and then they reimagined Resident Evil with Resident Evil 7, which is, to me, the best game of last generation, hands down.
And
even better than God of War. And they've just been going up and up and up on this upward trajectory ever since. And they've just been nothing short of magnificent. So I have no doubt that they're going to make an incredible game. Onimusha also looks amazing for what they were talking about. Yeah, and that comes out next year sometime. Now, the funny thing is, when they mentioned those two games, there was no mention of Resident Evil 9, which the rumblings of Resident Evil 9 have started to, the whispers are starting to turn into, room level talking of people talking about it. So I expect to see Resident Evil sometime this year. We were supposed to see it last year, but I guess they delayed it an entire year. And I think they're going to talk about it this year at some point.
It's going to be huge.
And then, it's going to be a
monster. That's going to ruin your
gonna
personal life, isn't it?
Oh, dude, forget it. Like, I'm not doing XNC for like 2 weeks. I'm literally just going to be playing Resident Evil. Resident Evil is my favorite game of all time. Favorite series of all time.
Mark it on your calendar next year. My co-host will be a sock puppet. It'll be great.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, which is not far off from what you are anyway.
Exactly. Thank
blabbering sock puppet.
Yeah, True 77. I haven't gone back to Indy Jones yet, man. I still have to finish the bloody game. It's one of those ones, like, when you got so much going on. So funny enough, back to circle back what we were talking about. I've been playing Final Fantasy. We were talking about Final Fantasy going to Xbox. I'm playing Final Fantasy 16 right now, and
you
I love it. I love it, dude. The only thing that's kind of getting under my skin a little bit, the cutscenes are too effing long. And the thing is, and there's just too many of them. There's just too many of them. Like, you get like 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, not even 20 minutes.
Is there a feature that keeps your controller powered on? Because if you leave a controller, like an Xbox controller, idle for a certain amount of time, I don't know what it is, it auto powers off.
Oh, no. The cutscenes aren't that long. No. The cutscenes aren't that long. Like, the longest I've seen is probably about 5 minutes. But the thing is, there's so many of them because there's so much exposition in the game of, like, trying to, flesh out the story, this and that. And the thing is, you do have an option to skip. So you could just skip and just keep playing the game, because in order to get the platinum, I got to go back and play it on Final Fantasy difficulty, whatever the hell. So that's the hardest setting. So I got to go back and do that. But and then they even said that, like, listen, when you get to a cutscene, you could press skip and all that. But I can't do that now because I'm playing the story for the first time. I want to know the story. And I mean, that's one thing that's, Final Fantasy, a lot of it has to do with the story and the lore and whatever else. But the gameplay is getting better because now that I'm upgrading my character, new like magic moves, and I think they're called icon moves and all that stuff. And I have these new moves and everything else. And I've got like these fire wings and all kinds of cool stuff when I like conjure magic. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome now. And I'm really enjoying it. The counterattacks are fantastic. It's really, really, really good, man. And so I keep telling everybody, because when I released that video, I got a lot of Xbox people saying, hey, Mag, when it comes to Xbox, what do you think? And I'm like, dude, if you like action RPGs, buy this game. You're really going to enjoy it.
It's all real-time combat, like actual real-time
combat. Yeah, it's all
combat.
Real-time combat.
Yeah, right. I did like that when I played the demo, but the cutscenes with the little boy that looks like he's wearing a dress, I was like, oh, gosh.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to anybody in this chat. You know me. I'm pretty authentic. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of that. But when you get through all that, and then when you really get into the story, like the story took a really dark turn today when I was playing it. And I'm just like, holy crap. And then I sat up in my chair and I'm like, this is some sinister stuff here now. And I'm like, wow, this story took a turn. So slowly but surely, the claws are digging into my back and just grabbing a hold of me. And I'm like, okay, this game's got me now. This game's got me. So I'm like, I'm really enjoying it. So, and then from there, Lord help me, I'm moving on to Star Wars Outlaws to get through that, to finish that backlog game. And then I'm going into Dragon's Dogma 2 from Capcom, funny enough. So yeah, a lot of stuff on the go. And then Space Marine 2 with my wife, and It Takes Two with the boy. So yeah, busy cat, dude. I'm a busy cat. A lot of games going on.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we got Xbox dropping a bunch of bombs here. So I don't mean bombs in a bad way. Before anybody's like, Max say they're all bombs. We got South of Midnight and next month, right? And then, we've got Avowed this month. We got South of Midnight next month. And then right after that, I believe we got Doom.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. It's crazy. It is so
and that's
crazy.
Just Xbox.
Yeah.
That's just Xbox. So who knows, man, what else is on the horizon?
I mean, when you look at Avowed and then South of Midnight and then Doom the Dark Ages, they're all about the same amount of distance apart, like 3 or 4 weeks apart. It's absolutely insane. And I wanted to talk briefly about I didn't get into this. I played like maybe 6-7 hours of Kingdom Come Deliverance on a review copy that I just got stuck. Early on in the game, you're stripped, you have nothing, and you have to kind of like build up from nothing, which is a really cool mechanic. But I was doing quests, I felt like I was just going nowhere, like walking through mud. I couldn't get the game moving, and I couldn't find the loot.
Right.
Like, you can't just go around and say, I'm going to go into this fortress and take out some enemies and grab some gear. Like, it doesn't really work that way, but the storytelling is amazing. Turns out the game is an absolute 9 out of 10. Everybody's loving it. It's doing big numbers. So that's another game that once I get done with these bigger titles, I got to turn around and just experience that for myself, because BT Maverick in the chat said, when you were talking about cutscenes, he says like those long cutscenes in Death Stranding. Well, when I played Death Stranding, it got so emotional and so dark or so deep and philosophical that I was like on the edge of my seat on a story I didn't think I would have cared about. So we're in such a good place right now. And you made the joke about Western devs are having a hard time, but they're also some of them are still making some really great stuff. We got a couple supers here.
Oh,
from
not
Andy.
all of them.
Not all of them. And we're gonna talk about Warner Brothers a little bit, WB Games in a little bit too as well, because there's a lot going on there and they need their heads screwed on properly and they need some help. Andy Hart, thank you so much for the £2 super chat. Says, I love the GameCube. It was way ahead of its time. Don't be mad at me, Andy, but I don't think I've ever played on a GameCube. That was the purple one.
Game?
With the funky
I believe
split looking controller. I don't think I've ever touched one.
The only game I played, I never owned one, but the only game I ever played on that was Resident Evil 4. Because if you remember, if anybody was old enough to remember, Resident Evil 4 was an exclusive to the GameCube first.
Oh, it was?
Before it came to the other consoles. By the way, I stand corrected. Sorry, folks. I see some people correcting me in the chat. South of Midnight is April, not March. It's the same month as Expedition 33, which I'm also looking forward to. Yeah,
my gosh.
I screwed up.
Expedition 33 is in there too. It's not
Expedition 33. It's dope, man.
It's on Game Pass. Yeah, it's crazy.
It looks so dope. And then it's funny. I'm not a turn-based combat guy at all. And when I watch that, I'm like, these French guys just sold me on turn-based combat because I'm like, this looks amazing, like just absolutely amazing. And I'm like, I just can't believe what they pulled off. But it was such a small team. But I'm really looking forward to both those. So sorry, my apologies. It's April. Anyway, back to the topic.
I didn't even hear you say that. Otherwise, I would have said April 8th. April 8th for South of Midnight. And April it was cool 8th, that looking at the calendar, they basically let me play it South of Midnight a month early, part of it, a section, which I can't say anything because embargo is up tomorrow morning. Grandman, thank you so much for $2 super chats. One says Bruv Nation. The other says also, Mag, I'm still waiting on a sexy dance from you.
What?
I guess.
Well, that'll be part of my Patreon on my channel. You want to become a member of my channel? I'll do dances for you every Saturday night. Brothers Grimm. He's like, you guys are both wearing pony blue today. I'm like, yeah, I'm wearing a blue shirt. Blue Jays, look.
Blue Jays, not the Green Jays.
The hell.
I was going to wear my Zelda shirt today, but I didn't. I was going to wear my Zelda shirt. Shout out to that blue number in the chat who reminds me of a game her and I are both excited for. Is Adamfall comes out in March, and that's your Rebellion. The people that make the Zombie Army trilogy is like they made a sort of a first-person action RPG game, like a Fallout Light type thing. It looks really cool. I hope it's good. You never know with something like that, but that blue number and I are both excited about Adamfall. Do you remember seeing that one, Meg?
Yeah, I did see that. And the Zombie Army guys, their games are okay. I played them, and
They're fun.
I think they were in Game Pass, weren't they? I think I played them in Game Pass at some
Yeah,
point.
they also did I want to call it the League of His Distinguished Gentlemen, but they did some game that was a weird name like that. It took place like during the Indiana Jones time, and you're like 3 different characters. It's a 3-player co-op game. It's chat. This is a nice little trivia moment. This game came out around 2019. It's a third-person co-op semi-open world game. Each of your characters have an ultra power they unleash. It's cooperative.
I can't remember the name of it, man.
What the heck was the name of that game? It was made by Rebellion.
Help us out, man.
It's a name that's kind of like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle or the League of Distinguished Gentlemen. It's something like that. And my family
I know what you're talking about.
What was it? Not Lamplighters. It's a long name like the Expedition of the Sock Puppet Masters or something like that. Matthew Barrow says Care Bears. You know, I'm just gonna look it up on.
No, it's not Outriders. True 77. No,
it's a long name. Like I said, it's a long name. I'm gonna see if I can find it here. They also make Sniper Elite, which Sniper Elite 6 or Sniper Elite Resistance is in Game Pass right now, and those games are pretty good. They're worth playing for sure. Let me see if I.
They're fun. They're just like they're fun.
I'm sorry, the name wasn't that long. The name of the game is called Strange Brigade. Strange Brigade. Brigade? I thought it had a longer name than that, but Strange Brigade. You have a female like African tribeswoman with a rifle. You have a guy who's kind of like Indiana Jones. Yeah, it's just I think it's 4-player co-op. It's really weird, but worth playing.
Preston in the chat's asking me if I know why. He says I know why the PSN was down. He goes, you know why, don't you? Yes, I do.
Let's talk about that briefly since it's old news. Sure. It's up and done. I don't know. What's your take on the?
I already know what happened.
Okay.
Phil Spencer sent a virus in the Forza Horizon 5 package that they sent over to PlayStation, and then of course the PlayStation guys opened it up, and then it just crashed the entire network. And then Phil and Greeny and Ronald and the rest of them all just giggled on the floor and then got drunk.
They all put their heads back in laughter simultaneously.
Yeah, and then they all sprayed each other with champagne. They all sprayed each other with
champagne. Take it to the limit.
Yeah, like when the NBA championships are on in the locker room.
Greenberg's got an Ethernet cable and he's like, take it to the limit.
That's exactly what happened, ladies and gentlemen. It was Phil Spencer sent a virus in the Forza Horizon 5 game, sent it over to PlayStation, and crashed the network. Okay, so there you go. That's the official story.
Chat and audience, were you relishing in that moment and console warring while PlayStation Network was down? Because I sure was a little bit. They were like,
I posted online. I'm like, don't be that guy. All right. And I'm like, don't be that guy. I'm like, I'm not going to say what I said in the tweet because I said some inappropriate stuff. But either way, I'm just like, just don't be that person, all right? Because when eventually it's going to happen to you, and you don't want people like, well, I mean, people are going to do it anyway. Listen, let's face it. I said, but be the better person. Don't be the person, because when it happens to you, and then all of a sudden your network goes down, there's going to be guys online dunking on you anyway. And I'm like, it's just stupid.
It happened either way. But Matthew Barrows in the chat said, or AKA Decatron said, Well, you said while the Xbox executives were like sabotaging PlayStation Network, he says Sarah Bond shook her head with her hands on her hips, saying, "Real mature, guys." You know that's what Sarah Bond would be doing. I'm not going to partake in any of this.
Yeah, and then they stuck a "kick me" sign on her back with like a piece of Scotch tape. Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Listen, man,
it was a big deal. For a bit.
Apparently, it was something internal. It wasn't. They say it wasn't. I mean, but can you honestly trust corporations?
You mean like a fuse popped or something? Breaker tripped?
Yeah, and then they forgot to check the breaker. Like, did you check? They called IT, and the IT's like, did you check to see if PSN was plugged in, sir?
Did you turn it off and back on? Yeah.
And Herman Holst is going, oh crap, and he walks over with the plug and just plugs it back in after 26 hours. They said it was something internal, which again, can you trust any corporation to tell you the truth? No, they're not going to. They're just going to give you some cock and bull story and just be like, hey, this happened and that happened. They said it was something internal, and I don't know what the hell that means.
What are the chances that they got heavily doxxed and they didn't make that public because then someone else will say, no, I'm going to try that.
Sure,
that's probably
of course
what happened.
They do. Like I said, they're never going to tell you what happened. You know what I
Or
mean?
not doxed, I'm sorry, DDoS or whatever.
Sorry, I knew what you meant, which is so
I'm
funny.
sorry.
Yeah, DDoS, yeah.
That's
It's
what I
like when
meant.
something happens with the government. You know what I mean? It's like, why are there drones flying all over the U.S.? They're never going to tell you the truth.
Sir, it was a gas leak. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to tell you anything. They're just going to tell you what makes people, just to keep people quiet, and they move on to the next story. But whatever it was, it ended up being way longer than I expected. It was like 26 hours, I think, because even after the 24-hour mark, I went back over because my son was like complaining about it because all his friends were trying to play Fortnite and whatever. So they ended up just playing Roblox on laptops. And then I'm like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a day. But then I'm like, that's a long time. So whatever it was, they wanted to make sure I think they got it right. But again, I don't trust anybody when it comes to telling me the reasons why these things happen. So it's best to just whatever, as long as you got it up. I think they gave everybody 5 free days of like PlayStation Plus.
I was rubbing a little bit of salt in the wound because I saw threads where people were like, they need to give us a month, they need to give us a year of free PlayStation Plus. And I'm
never happened.
It was down 24 hours. And so I did the math. I'm like, they owe you 33 cents. You were down 24 one day of paid PS Plus membership. They owe you the 33-cent coverage for that. But the funny thing is
cable company goes down. Cable company goes down all the time. Right. Cell networks go down over there. What do? They give you 1 day credit, maybe 2 day credit. They're not going to give you anything more than that. So that's all there is to it. But.
Yeah, and the funny thing was a lot of people that wanted that, wanted credit were already paying for PS Plus. So they give you 5 days credit, and where does that go? It just keeps pushing down the road as you continue to pay. What are you going to do? Let it lapse?
It's kind of stupid.
Lapse so you can take your 5 free days and then pay.
Isn't that weird?
What else
what am I going to do? Like let's say you cancel now or whatever, right? And then all of a sudden the next month I'm like, okay, well you got to the last day, and then they tack on 5 days to it. I'm like, I don't know.
It would be perfect if they had a point system like Microsoft Rewards, because if Xbox Live was down for 24 hours, what should Xbox do right by their customers? And they should give you a certain amount of Microsoft Reward points.
Sure.
Because you can actually use that to buy something, or you can use it toward.
PlayStation does have that. It's called, they do have that. Hold on.
Do they still have the PlayStation Rewards? It was like the same name for a while, but I thought they got rid of it.
No joke. I got Stellar Blade for free. It was on sale, and then I had so many points built up that I got the rest of it. Like I just paid like $50 or $60 of it for free.
I think they should do that, but I don't run a company, but it's kind of an intangible reward you can give your customers.
Right. It's called PlayStation Stars, and it's points.
Oh, right.
PlayStation, and it's PlayStation points. I'm looking at the app right now on my phone, and then
they got rid of rewards and changed it. You're right. Yeah.
Well, they got rewards here. The rewards are here. You could get like emojis. You could get like what the hell are those things called?
Wow.
And you can get like NFTs and stuff for like PlayStation NFTs.
Sign me up.
And then they've got games. So you got Path of Exile 2, Vampire Survivor, Squirrel with a Gun. There's a whole bunch of games here. And then you could buy actually Ninja Turtles. You can actually buy the games outright for a reduced price.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
With the points. Or you could buy, like, for example, I got $20 sitting in my wallet from points.
Brothers Grimm says 5 days to play no games. Well, I mean, if they want to use that 5 days in a little bit, they can play Xbox games. It'll happen.
Yeah, it's yeah. So I got $20 sitting in my wallet from the rewards program right now. So yeah, they could have done that. Like they could have thrown I mean, you're not gonna throw everybody $5. That's insanity. Like you were down for one day and
millions of dollars. Yeah,
that would be hundreds of millions of dollars. So like you wouldn't do something like that. But like maybe throw them some points.
Throw them some credit.
Throw them some credit. Something like that. Sure, why not?
Yeah. Andy Hart, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. Says, still thinking Grand Theft Auto 6 pushes to January 2026. Also, is Doom the Dark Ages day one on PS5? Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And for good reason, honestly, because Doom Eternal is amazing. And I think it took a while for that game to get big numbers. I don't know why. Maybe it's because there's only so much of us diehards that like to play amazing games like Doom. But Doom,
I thought the 2016 Doom was better. That's my opinion. And I actually, funny enough, I've talked to a lot of people said the same thing, because I think the Doom Eternal kind of drifted off a little bit, like with the focusing a lot on the traversal and all that stuff. That was a little bit too much. Jump, dive, lunge, this, that, grab. I'm like, Is this Doom or am I playing like a juiced up version of Uncharted? Like, what are we doing here? So like,
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit too much. But
and I think that Eternal scored higher as well. If I look back here, it's about an 86 Doom 26 or 2016. And if I look at Doom Eternal, look at my face is white because I want to do. Doom Eternal's an 88.
Oh wow, it's rated higher.
Yeah, it's an 88 across the board. It's an 88 on Xbox and PC and 87 on PS4. So I agree. I like 2016 was no nonsense. It was good. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's to say Dr. Dinglenut's saying, he goes, both Doom's reboots were really good. They are really good. But if I were to choose one that was more like Doom, I would have gone with 2016, which is more the traditional, no pun intended, boots on the ground. You know what I mean? A kind of Doom game, and that seems to be where they're going with this one. It seems to be more of a focused on the combat, and then they said they slowed it down a little bit too, right? So they like you actually get to focus on an enemy and like a larger enemy, a boss or whatever, and you have like somewhat sort of boss fights or whatever, like miniature boss fights with people, so you can focus on, the combat, which is what Doom is really all about. It's all about navigation and the combat, right?
Yeah, it's all about strafing and moving and dodging and
yeah.
If I was going to replay Doom or Eternal, I would probably pick Doom because I would be I would be just not wanting to play some of those segments, like the fire sticks that you jump over and the quadruple combination parkour things that you had to do and the time stuff. I mean, that stuff was cool the first time around, but that was a different time. Absolutely.
Donnie, your name is in blue. I could read what you're saying about me much easier, right? Christ. He's taking shots at me because like when I play It Takes Two with my son, I start getting upset, right? So I'm going, where the hell do I go? And then my son will be like, dude, you got to jump over there. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then all of a sudden I get to the next area where I'm just like looking around. I'm like, all right, where do I go now?
Yep. I've played games with my son. I've had him sitting here while I played games when he was too young to even play. And I'm like, I don't understand. He's like, Dad, it's right there. You walked right by it. When he's really little, I used to have videos of it. I'm like, I don't understand where the chest is. He's like, you walked right by it twice.
It's funny. Like I could do it, obviously, but it's just not at the speed that they do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because the brain is there, but it's like the brain is there. Just sometimes I'm just looking at it, I'm like, I get impatient, and I'm like, all right, I just want to get to the next area and just move on.
You ever reach up to grab something and you're like, oh, my shoulder hurts, and I didn't do anything. That's me. That's me right now.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I was playing football with a bunch of teenagers and guys my age, and I popped my shoulder out of my socket. Like I went down like Heisman to the ground, right? I told that story. Popped my shoulder out of my socket. It hurt so bad. This one's fine. It's this one. I'll reach up and grab my guitar. I'm like, oh, I'm about to bust.
Yeah. It's funny. The more I work out and the more weights I lift and stuff like that. Like now I'm benching almost 200 pounds. I installed the chin-ups. Like I got a mini gym in my basement that I've been working on since the pandemic. Because when we were in the pandemic, I used to go to LA Fitness all the time, and then they shut it down for the pandemic. So I'm like, well, we had money allocated for the gym. I'm like, why don't we take that money we allocated for the gym and start buying some stuff for the house? So I made a mini gym of all the money that we would have spent at LA Fitness over the last 4 years. I've been putting it back into the house. So we're spending the same money, but now I'm buying stuff that we get to keep forever. I got chin-up bars, I got weights and all that stuff. And it's funny, like the more I work out, I'm getting stronger. I'm getting whatever, more defined muscles. Way better than It's Alex. With his undefined, non-chiseled chest and his pink nipples. But anyways,
now it's just a banana.
Yeah, exactly.
He can't go t-shirtless because he gets demonetized too often. So now he just puts on a big banana.
Yeah, I would demonetize him too for not having a chiseled chest. Anyways, in all seriousness, dude, I go reach for something, dude. If I make a move on a controller, the arthritis kicks in, and all of a sudden my left arm is like killing me for like 10 minutes.
What part of your arm?
Like right here.
Hold on.
Right here. Like I'm like gaming and I'm like doing this with the controllers and stuff. And I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, get over here, son of a bitch. I'm playing Call of Duty or something. All of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, I'm going, oh.
You're like a commercial where like the red, it swells like, Dad, are you okay? Can you play video games? Son, I need a lead.
It's like Peter Griffin, like when he like stubs his toe or hits his shit. He's like, yeah.
I was like,
and that's
wondering.
me after playing like 3 rounds of Call of Duty. Unlike
Yeah.
Brisket, whose wrists are obviously well used for different reasons, he's obviously excellent at Call of Duty because we know the reasons why. Anyways, let's carry on. Let's talk about
shout
games.
out to Risk It. We love the guy. Phase 23 Brooklyn, New York. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. We got a super chat here in orange, which really stands out. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
he
man.
asks, Colt, why wouldn't Sony bring their games like God of War or Gran Turismo 7 to Xbox since they're already bringing Major League The Show, MLB The Show, day one to Xbox? I keep seeing everyone saying Sony will follow Xbox's lead. Well, that's not what people are saying. Let me tackle the very first part of your discussion. MLB The Show is on PlayStation because the MLB license requires it. Sony San Diego and PlayStation have no longer a say in where MLB The Show goes. So it goes to Xbox. And for some reason, they were told they were supposed to put those games on PC. Here we are on, I think, year 4. We're going into year 4, and they still haven't made a PC port of MLB The Show. So I don't know why MLB license franchise isn't yelling at them. Like, we told you to bring this game on multiple platforms. Where's the PC platform? And where's the Switch platform for next Switch 2?
Yeah.
The other thing is, why aren't they bringing God of War, Gran Turismo to Xbox is very obvious. They're not in the same exact position that Xbox is, because PlayStation is definitely going to go more multi-platform. You are going to see them push closer or day and date very, very soon. And they're going to start throwing occasional games or select games on Nintendo Switch too. This is going to be a really healthy thing for PlayStation. The issue that people don't understand when they're like, I don't understand why I don't get God of War on my Xbox, is because unfortunately the Xbox console, the console plastic platform for Xbox is the third place out of 3. There's only 3, and they're the last place. And not only are they last place, they're halfway behind Nintendo and PlayStation. So there's no reason or justification to say, why don't we put those games on there? Now, PlayStation could say, hey, it's not going to harm us. And I've talked to an expert that said there's no reason for PlayStation not to put games on the Xbox console, their own franchises, because it would not hurt their console sales. It wouldn't hurt their brand whatsoever. But you have to remember, now this is going to sound super negative and console worry, but this is the truth. And I'll see if Mag backs me up on this. PlayStation doesn't put their games on Xbox because one of their modes of doing business is to suffocate their competition. And to give them any type of bone or any consideration would not allow them to suffocate and stand above the corpses of their competition. And that's what they're always doing. So
they will always do that. That's never going to change.
Yeah.
I've heard from some people that actually work at Sony, and they said that a lot of the mantras are when they talk about bringing games to PC and Switch 2 or whatever, the mantra is anything but Xbox. Right. And so probably. They do that because and I'm telling you, that's a fact. And the funny thing is that it's not surprising because Xbox is their only true direct competitor. The others are not. The others are complementary on a business level for different reasons, but they're not direct competition.
Yeah.
Maybe the PC could be the closest to. However, it's still a different ecosystem. It's still it's a whole different landscape over there, the way they operate. But if you look at like the traditional way of working and the traditional way of running a console business, the Xbox and the PlayStation are basically, mirror images of each other. And as a result, like I said, one of their mantras that they use in the thing is anything but Xbox. So you will not see a lot of those games over there. But the thing is, like even a live service game, for example, like Helldivers 2, a lot of people, and they're not wrong, they say like, hey, you know what? It would have made a lot of sense to have that on Xbox as well. So you have it on Xbox, PC, and then of course on the PlayStation, maybe the Switch 2 later this year, that kind of thing. Maybe it's too late. Maybe the hype will be dead by then, but whatever. The point is that it would have done even better with Xbox on there as well. Make a deal with that, maybe get into Game Pass, whatever, right? But they won't do it. So it's not going to be the same thing.
Because you could say that about literally any game that ever ships out the door. You could say it about Bunny Hop 3000. This game would sell better if it was on more platforms. So when someone says Helldivers 2 would absolutely do so much better on Xbox, they can say that because Xbox has a really great multiplayer community on the console, or shooter competitive and cooperative community, because they have more of those titles available to them, right? So I understand that, but saying Helldivers 2 would do great on Xbox is like and water is wet. And you know, Scarlett Will says in the chat that God of War only sold around 10% of the install base of PlayStation. It's probably way more than that, I think. But it's a fraction of the install base, and they could sell a few million or a couple million copies on Xbox. I'll stop you there, because it's really, this whole discussion is happening right now, because once we got into the early 2020s, I think this is absolutely the picture of the industry right now. Franchises cannot survive, or they cannot thrive. Franchises cannot thrive unless they are unlocked from a walled garden. And so PlayStation has released a lot of their games on PC to great acclaim, big sales numbers, big player bases, and it is breathing so much life into their franchise. If Spider-Man 2 released day and date on PC, Spider-Man 2 would have been even bigger than it already was. And I think PlayStation's learning right now that having a delayed release window on Spider-Man 2 has hampered and hindered their ability to sell more copies. The excitement of that franchise has dwindled over the 14 months or whatever it was. Yeah.
You know, there's two sides to that, though.
Water's not wet, but materials that touch them do get wet.
Oh my God.
But not on a microscopic level, especially if you're hydrophobic. Phobic.
I'm going to slightly disagree with the day and date situation. I don't think that their focus is so much more on the sales of the games. They want to get, again, the one thing I keep talking about, especially this year, is a lot of the focus is to get the hardware out the door, not for the hardware's sake of making money off the hardware. It's to keep you in the store. As I've said before, Microsoft is doing the same thing. Sony's doing the same thing. And they will continue to have that delayed release on the PlayStation because they want you to buy a PlayStation. And they know that for a game like Spider-Man 2 or maybe, I don't know, Last of Us 3 or whatever the hell they're going to come out, they know that people will buy those consoles for those games. Or like they'll hold off long enough and be like, all right, you know what? I can't hold off anymore. I was a huge fan of Ghost of Tsushima, so I'm going to be a big fan of Ghost of Yotei. I got to buy a console for that. So they will do that.
Yeah.
They don't care about that. What they care about is that you now have access to the PlayStation Store. And that's where they make all their money. Like I said before, DLCs,
almost all of it, yeah.
Microtransactions, skins, whatever, right? And then and then when you want to buy another game, you're like, oh, there's a sale on today. Let me see what's on the sale. And then you go and you buy games on sale in the PlayStation Store. Same thing with Xbox. Xbox is trying to drive you to the store. Same thing with Game Pass. Game Pass is no longer their focus, but Game Pass is a lure to get you in there so that you look at the store, and when you're playing Call of Duty on Game Pass, you're like, well, I didn't have to pay extra I didn't have to pay $100 for Call of Duty like we do. Well, I do anyway. But you know what? I don't mind spending $25 for like a couple of skins or whatever. And then you might go in the store and buy a couple of skins so that you're running around with Art the Clown. You know what I mean? with an M4 carbine machine gun. And so like you're doing that, and it's just like that's what they want. And that's why I don't think, at least I don't think, I may be wrong. I'm just telling you my personal opinion. I don't think that Sony will ever go day and date with PC with their first party games outside of service games. Whatever service games they didn't cancel.
I mean,
right? You know what I mean?
I can still feel 50-50 on that. Half of me agrees with you, the other half doesn't agree because I feel it's a necessity, but I can also see PlayStation holding the line on that and saying it's important that our plastic consumers feel, special, which is weird, but they'll learn the hard way. If they hold a strong line and say that they won't go day and date on PC unless it's a live service game, the live service games are going to be the most risky, biggest money loss ventures for them. But they're single player games.
That's why they cut them off clean. Like the ones that they knew weren't going to make it, they didn't even bother finishing the games because they're like, you know what?
Yeah, that's true.
Cut our losses. So they canceled 2, 3, 4 games, whatever it was, however many games it was. They canceled all those live service games, and they did that because they're like, you know what? Just cut them now, and just end it.
Which we don't give them enough credit for because, we made the jokes or we mocked some of the games that got canceled that'll never see the light of day, and those studios are now have a 3 to 4 year gap of where they won't have games because of that. But they also didn't want to do what Xbox did in the Xbox One generation and go ahead and just release games because we spent the time and money on them. I take the games industry and reduce it into this teeny tiny idea where I compare it to me making a video on YouTube, because I put something out there and I'm hoping that thousands of people will check it out. Sometimes I make a video, I'm like, well, I spent hours on this. I'm not just going to throw it away. And then I put it out because I think maybe it's not a very good video and it doesn't do very well. And then I go, oh gosh, and I feel the sting of it. You got to give PlayStation credit for saying, look, we're just going to cut our losses because you don't want to get into a place where people think the PlayStation games aren't great. But overall, like they're putting out the same caliber this gen. So, yeah, let me grab. Thank you, Face23, for the discussion on that. But was there one more thing? He said, I always see people saying,
answer.
Yeah, it was. He says, I always see people saying Sony will follow Xbox's lead. When people say that, they mean Sony will follow the lead of not keeping their games held to one piece of plastic. And we're already seeing that. It's just in how they'll do it or how soon. Their leadership is really putting a lot of pressure. So we will see some changes. Trell Roberts, thank you for the $2 super chat, says Xbox could give us exclusives. Yeah, they could, but they won't. Like, it's already been done. The Band-Aids tore off, and I was over it months ago. Andy Hart, thank you so much for the £5 super. Says, here's an interesting question. Do you think Nintendo will ever go back to a traditional console, or are they totally going to be a handheld docked company?
That depends on the sale of the Switch 2.
Really?
The Switch 1 I guarantee it. The Switch 1 was a monster success. If the Switch 2 doesn't take off in the same way, then I could see them going back to something more traditional at that point, and maybe just still have a handheld option. And I don't mean like a dockable option. I don't see them just continuously making dockable options if the second one doesn't sell as well. It's kind of like a sequel, like in a movie. Like you make the first movie, the movie's a monster hit. You make the second one, and it doesn't do as well. There's no guarantee that they're going to make that trilogy. Sometimes it doesn't happen or whatever else. They kind of balk at it a little bit, right? But I think it'll be dependent on how the Switch 2 performs, to be quite honest.
Isn't the big picture of Nintendo that people don't always look at is one of their most successful product lines is the DS, isn't it? So if you look at
it was also the price point too.
Yeah, and if you look at the 40-year business of Nintendo, some of their standout products, I think, are categorized as a Switch and DS handheld device. I know the Wii U sold really well. It outsold the PS3 for the entire generation. I don't know. I used to look at those numbers like I bought my kids' DSs back in the day. What's that?
Their price points though, Colt. They were much more affordable. Yeah, and then like you could get used ones for $50, you know what I mean, at like GameStop or whatever else, and a lot of kids did that. And it was a more accessible option for a lot of people because you didn't have to go out and spend $400 or $500 on a console, right? And so like that's why that was a thing. And of course, the portability of it. Kids used to bring them to school. You know what I mean? It was the same as Game Boy. Like had the Nintendo Game Boy was the same thing. I used to bring that thing everywhere, right?
How popular was the Game Boy?
It was huge.
I only had a couple friends who owned one. Was it really super popular? I'm sure it was.
Well, let's find out right now. Game Boy console.
And you have to scale that down because the amount of consoles that sold that were massively popular was probably 25% of what things are now.
118.69 million units sold.
Well, that's pretty amazing. Are you serious?
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now.
I would have never. Wow. I would have never thought that. Okay.
Well, I mean, it was like I said, when I was in school, everybody I knew in school had one.
How much was one of those brand new?
Oh man, I don't remember. I bought one in South Carolina. Funny enough, I was in South Carolina on a trip with my parents, and my brother and I had like saved up all this money for the trip from like all our allowance for like months and months and months, and if not probably over a year. We saved up money and then we pooled our money together and we bought a Game Boy at Walmart. Game Boy original price. Let's look.
Had to be $99 in the US.
$89.99 US.
Wow.
So if you were to do like some kind,
Let's see. I'm trying to think. That thing came out when I was like 15, I think.
So if you were to do like inflation now, it'd be about $285 equivalent.
It was so funny because I remember back in 1989, I think is when the Game Boy came out. I was like 15. And I remember my buddy brought it over and I was like, this screen's really hard to look at. Like, it's not an enjoyable experience. And so I never really spent much time except for playing Super Mario World or whatever it's called. Super Mario Land was what the Super Mario
Land.
Yeah, it had a great first level music thing going there, but I never really played on one. But my wife had the Game Boy and played Tetris like crazy on it. And
dude, Tetris, Blades of Steel, Super Mario Land.
There was a Blades of Steel for it. This is like Nintendo podcast today.
It was awesome, man. I'm telling you, man. Game Boy was amazing. Game Boy was amazing. I adored that thing. I mean, like I said, the portability. We all had them in our school bags. We brought them everywhere.
Yeah, I remember my friend had the clip-on magnifier that looked absolutely ridiculous and warped the whole view of it. But I mean, this really has turned into a gaming podcast over the years. But we mostly
talking about games.
We're talking about games. Yeah,
we're talking about stuff.
Yonata Kizana, thank you for the $2 super chat. He says, y'all see that Play Anywhere support dropped year on year. Oh, Play Anywhere. Sorry, I said PlayStation. He said, you all see that Play Anywhere support dropped year on year. Yeah, I mean, there's only 100 games that support Play Anywhere, meaning if you buy the game, you get the game on PC and the cross saves and everything carries over seamlessly. And like I've said on here, I was surprised to see that Guardians of the Galaxy from Eidos Montreal is Play Anywhere. And I looked on the Xbox PC app. I've been playing a lot on there, and I'm like, it had my achievements and my save would come right over. I'm like, that's crazy. I don't know if I talked about this on the show, but I don't think I did, but unless we talked about it with Paris, I don't see why publishers were running out to make their games Play Anywhere when they can just hang back and hope that people can buy multiple copies. I think we did talk about that last week, didn't we?
We talked about it because Microsoft did have at some point, I don't know if they're still doing it, but I did speak to someone in Microsoft about the not only Play Everywhere, it's going to be not only the Play Anywhere, it's going to be the Play Everywhere option. Yeah. Where that once you get it, you'll be able to use it like on the PC side of things. You'll be able to launch anything on any launcher, whatever. Anyway, it's like a whole thing about accessibility of games everywhere if you purchase one of their games.
Yeah, and it needs to be something that, like, a Play Anywhere game has something in the pocket, of its files that says this is an Xbox game, this supports achievements, this supports cross cloud saves, and then you have your game, and that's kind of hidden in the shirt pocket. And I would assume that in the future that Phil is pushing for as many games as possible to have that shirt pocket. So if you buy someday, if you buy Monster Hunter Wilds, or you buy just the next game that comes out in a year or two, if you buy that game, that it'll be supported and you'll be able to play that across multiple devices. And because if a developer's like, occasionally we get a 3% uptick in purchases because people will buy the game so they can play it on PlayStation, they'll buy it again to play it on Xbox, or someone buys a gaming PC, now they want to play it at its best. I think that future needs to be a reality, and I think maybe it might. Wouldn't it make your purchase so much better, Mag? Like, think about this: if you were like, the way you talk about the way you run your house with your different consoles, would it make you more apt to buy a game like, name a game that's coming out later this year that's a multi-plat? Anything? Because I can't think of anything.
I can't think of anything either. Because Borderlands 4. How about
okay, perfect. So think about this, Mag. Borderlands 4 is coming out. Let's say it's coming out in August, and you're kind of on the fence. You're like, I kind of like Borderlands, but I don't know about Gearbox lately. And then it says in the bottom headline thing, it says this game supports Xbox everywhere, meaning if you buy Borderlands 4, you can load it up on PS5, you can load it up on Xbox if you have a PC. Like, it's one purchase. Like, would that kind of push you over the edge and like, okay, now I gotta buy it. Look at the purchasing power. That's what I'm hoping the future is.
Right. Now, I'm not sure if everybody's going to be on board with that. I know that Microsoft's plans are to do that with their games. So if you're not in Game Pass or whatever, and you're actually going to purchase the game, they want the idea, the philosophy is that it's going to be available to utilize on any launcher, no matter what it is. Yeah. Right. That's kind of their plan. The thing is, at the end of the day, though, the launcher or the store that's going to sell the game is going to get, I guess, like a better cut of the sale or whatever. And then what they don't want is they don't want you access, like a lot of the other things. I think the pushback is going to be the competing ecosystems are going to say, well, they have access to play it on our store, but they bought it on yours, so we actually got no money from the sale.
That's
we got
a good
nothing
point.
from it.
That because
right?
Neighbor Box said Play Anywhere would never be on PS5. Say that again. Say it again.
Oh, so that's exactly what it is. The pushback is going to be, what's the advantage for us? However, the only thing that they could possibly use as some kind of an advantage is saying, well, you can actually access it. If you access it on the PS5, but you bought it on Xbox or whatever, and you're able to play it over here, the only thing is that while you're there in the PS5 ecosystem, you'll be able to access their store. That's the only allure that they can utilize and say, okay, well,
meaning if you own Borderlands and you're like, I'm going to play it on PS5, and you kind of you're playing on there, and then when you go to buy DLC or skin packs or whatever,
you'll buy it on PlayStation because you're on the PlayStation. So that's the only allure that they could say, well, give it a shot and see what happens. If you find more traffic in your store, because that's what they watch.
But they also want to boost user monthly active users as well.
Sure. Yeah, they want monthly active users and engagement in the store, right? And traffic in the store, and obviously purchases in the store. So yeah, sure.
Maybe there is a little bit of push and pull, right? Maybe
there's a little bit of both. But again, the way the PlayStation looks at it, for example, I would imagine, is that they're like, well, no, this doesn't make sense, because if we sell Borderlands on PlayStation, we get that 30% plus we get the traffic in the store.
Yes.
And they're the market leader. They don't have to bend to anybody's will right now. Everybody has to kind of follow their lead because they're the ones who are leading the sales.
Noise FOMO makes a good point.
So I'm just saying, they'll push back.
Yeah, I think so. Because Noise FOMO said, wouldn't that DLC purchase on PlayStation be locked to that store? So if you go back to Xbox and try to load up the Tiny Tina's whatever
a really good point.
DLC, you don't own it because you bought it from PlayStation. Man, it is a pretty tough thing to do. But remember, 10 years ago, PlayStation was like, we're not doing crossplay. No, we're not doing it. And remember 10 years before that, Xbox is like, we're not doing crossplay. Those are smaller avenues of what Mag and I are talking about, but
yeah. But that's an interesting thought, though. Like, the DLC thing is really interesting because I'm like, well, I just bought the expansion pass for, like for example, Borderlands. All the Borderlands games expansion passes are monstrous. Like, they're an extra 2,000 like, for example, like Borderlands 3. I got 3,000 out of 3,000 achievement points on Borderlands 3 because it's literally double the game. Right? Or triple the game, whatever the hell it is. Or maybe it was 2,000. Someone help me out. Check to see if it's 2,000 or 3,000 achievement points. I can't remember which one it is. But either way, I got them all. The point is that the DLC and the expansions, especially in Borderlands and the stories, are very expansive. They're not small. These are big expansions, kind of like how Witcher 3's expansions were, right? And anyways, the point is that if I did buy those on PlayStation and I go back to Xbox and I don't have access to it, I'd be like, well, what's the point? Because the DLC was an extra 60, 70 hours on top
and that could be really
of the
messy.
100 hours of the game. Yeah, it's a mess.
And I don't know who facilitates, when I load up a Play Anywhere title on Xbox, right? And then I go over to PC and it pops up a box that covers like the middle of my screen that says syncing your save or getting your cloud save, and it goes across. It takes like 8 seconds, and then all of my saves are there, right? That's something that Xbox does within Xbox, within their whole ecosystem and Windows and everything. Like, how is that? I'm having a hard time seeing that where you load up a game like Borderlands 4 on PlayStation 5, and it's like, let us go grab your sync your save from Xbox Live. Yeah, I mean,
I got it right here, folks. Look, just in case everybody thinks I'm lying, let it focus.
Oh, hold on, I got to bring up the live feed here.
I got 81 out of 81. 81 out of 81 achievements. It's 21. I got 2175 out of 2175.
Jeez, 2100. Almost 2200 gamers.
So almost 2200
gamers. How did you do that? Did you go around and have to like do all the super special powers on enemies and stuff?
I'm a completionist, man. I'm a completionist, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation. A PlayStation, I'm not going to finish a game unless I get the platinum. And on Xbox, I'm getting that 1,000. Or if I really like the game, like Borderlands or even Resident Evil, those kind of games, and they got DLC, I'm getting every achievement. That's just the way I do things. I love it, man. Why do you think I'm so behind on games?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
you
that's why
spend
like
far
I'm
too
a year
long.
behind. Yeah.
I'm like, bing, bang, boom. And then I move on to the next
Bing,
game.
bang, boom. Last night I pleasured myself to the image of Mrs. Buttersworth. She got me there like I was on the A Train Express. Bing, bang, boom.
I rained down on them like, yeah. It was, yeah. Oh, gosh, Will Ferrell's a national treasure, international treasure. He really is. It's amazing.
Look at Matthew Berrios. What a psychopath.
Yeah.
Hey, man. It's a good game. It's like, I don't do that for every game. But if I really, really love a game, and I only buy games that I really enjoy. I don't buy games because I'm like, you know, and I'm telling you, man, that's what I do. It's just I squeeze every ounce of juice out of that game. So when I'm done with it, off the hard drive.
I miss the days when I didn't have as many games at my disposal, and I would squeeze every last bit, but I haven't done that in so long. Oh gosh. Yeah, but
I just take my time, man. And by the time I get through those backlogs, the new games that come out are already like 40% off. So, like, by the time I get to like I bought Dragon's Dogma for literally 50% off. I mean, I could have bought it $100 out the gate, and I'm like, what for? I'm not going to get to it. And then when I got to it, it was like literally 50% off. I bought Bing, bang, boom. I bought it.
Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah. That was it.
Speaking of Bing, bang, boom, some of our favorite franchises are like in purgatory. And I don't know if you know much or can say much or if you really dug into it, but WB Games is in big trouble. We just found out that Wonder Woman from Monolith Studios. That's what happens when you speak ahead of yourself or think. Wonder Woman was supposed to be out in 2025 by the end of the year. Turns out like they're like basically scrapping all their work and starting re-evaluating what to do with that game. It was supposed to have the Nemesis system that we saw in Shadow and World.
Yeah.
Shadow of Mordor, and I already forgot. Shadow of War.
Shadow of War. Yeah.
I love both those games. I love the Nemesis system. I was looking forward to Monolith's Wonder Woman game. Unfortunately, our favorite studios, our favorite talent that makes our favorite games. Yeah, I say it so many times on the show or in videos. Our favorite people that made games during the 360 and Xbox and PS4 era are just don't work there anymore. They've moved on or they have retired or whatever. And it sounds like Warner Brothers wants to make a new Batman Arkham game. And knowing how much of a mini hidden gem Gotham Knights is, I would recommend giving that game a shot if you can find it very, very cheap. Gotham Knights is more fun than it should be. It's actually pretty decent. I don't know if they can make a Batman Arkham game. I'm going to offend everybody when I say this, but I think in order to make a Batman Arkham game, you have to have a heavy dose of testosterone leading the charge because...
Oh, no. Weird. His name is Batman.
Well, yeah, I know.
Like,
I know
Jesus Christ.
I know it's super insensitive for me to say, but you really need to, I don't mean you need guys working on it. I think you need to approach it with the old, just a testosterone driven frame of mind when you make the Batman Arkham games, because Batman Arkham City and Arkham Asylum and Arkham Origins are just like gruff, gritty. They capture the heart of Frank Miller and the comics. Right. Comics, you have to that has to be cultivated. And as cool as Gotham Knights was, it also it appealed to a wide range of people, and it's still a good game. Still a really good game, even though it scored really low.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say that other than you got to go balls out with a Batman Arkham game. What would you expect in the future if they're going to bring back the Batman Arkham series and make something that they haven't already done?
Okay, well, let me address a few things in the chat first. Grievous Angel 1984, this is for you.
Have you tried the lasagna? It's my favorite.
All right, sorry. It's been a long time. You want to say something. Mav is in the chat. Fun speculation. Go sub to his channel, please. Go see what he's doing. He's doing
what's
some good
Yo
work
H&S?
over there.
Do you call us honeys or what's a Yo H&S? Or is he talking to somebody else? Oh, H&S
I
in
don't
the
know.
chat. Yeah, H&S 1988. Thank you for waving at Mav. I'm really ticked off. I'm sitting here, and Mav has not said hi to you or I. Has he?
I noticed. I noticed.
What the crap?
I noticed.
Okay, we'll just get rid of him because he should have typed hello by
mods,
now, and he should have written
mods,
I love you
know
by now.
What to do.
Hold on. Yeah, mods, you have to ban fun speculation if he doesn't say hi or I love you or feet pics are on the way. Any of those combinations I want from
exactly.
Mav. What's going on? Nothing from him.
I prefer my lord when I'm spoken to as well.
Dude, he called you Mang. All right, he's done. No, we love Mav.
That's it. He's done. All right, Magnum, you've now become a mod on this channel. Get rid of him immediately. Time him out so he has to listen to us, but not allowed to participate in the conversation.
He has to sit on the outside. Open. Those of you from the old days would know what that is. If you're from the US,
go check out his channel, man. The man's doing God's work over there.
Yep.
509 Gaming. I did check out that Korean game, by the way. Anyways, let's get into the
what is
WB
it? The Korean game.
It's kind of like a Korean Splinter Cell, or what the hell is it called? Splinter Cell / what the hell's the name of that PlayStation with the guy with the gun and the dog? You know the one I'm talking about? What
the guy with the gun and the dog? You know that one guy with that game with the guy and it's got the gun in it and it's got the dog? What PlayStation game are you talking about?
The Splinter. It's a mix between Splinter Cell and.
Who asked you about this Korean game?
509 Gaming. He pointed out to me on one of my live streams, and then he just said,
"What's the game called?" Let's search it.
Project TH or something like that. It's actually pretty cool, man. Looks pretty cool.
I can't trust you, Project TH. If I get,
it's not like I'm asking you to look up Blue Waffle.
I mean, I did get some sketchy websites, but I'll bookmark that one.
509 Gaming just said it's Siphon Filter.
Oh, Siphon Filter. Wait, Siphon Filter?
Yeah.
Gabe didn't have a dog, did he? I played Siphon Filter.
No, I messed up. I was thinking of Dead to Rights, which Skillet will. Yeah, Skillet will just mention something. Skillet will just said Dead to Rights. I screwed up the 2 games. Listen, man, I'm old and I drink a lot, okay? What do you want from my life?
If Game Seeker is here in the chat or listening after the fact, Dead to Rights was the game I was trying to tell you because he was like, what's that one game with the guy with the dog? And he was talking about some old 360 game. And I'm like, Dead to Rights.
Awesome
I called it Retribution, which is the biker game.
I think they launched one on the Xbox One after the fact. I think they did like a reboot of the game, like in the Xbox One generation, if I'm not mistaken. And I still enjoyed the hell out of it. Dead to Rights was awesome, man.
What's this Project TH? I'm sorry I don't have it on the screen, guys. I'll need to set up to do stuff like that, but
no, just check it out in your own time. It looks pretty cool.
I just checked it out. It's a third person. The guy's a Korean guy with like a futuristic, submachine gun, and you skulk around. And you have goggles, and it just looks really nice. What can you tell me about it? Is it coming out anytime soon? It's coming to everything. It says.
It's coming to everything, but I just don't know when. It says some people are saying 2025, but I'm not 100% sure. But there's no. Let me see.
Set the near future unified Korea.
There's
awesome.
a 17-minute demo that's available, or that you can watch, like on YouTube and whatever else. And then
scrub through it.
It doesn't really have it doesn't really show like a proper release date, so it's probably going to take some time. My guess is 2026 because this year is too packed. And Korea is really starting to move up the chains in terms of game development. So
they made Almost Human that I played for like 40 hours, and it's only on PC, and it'll come to console eventually. And I loved it. So
Stellar Blade, I put 100+ hours in that game. I adored it. So that was another Korean game. And then what was the online one? The online one, the hell was it called? It came out for all the consoles, free to play. It was a free-to-play shooter.
First Descendant.
I love that game.
That was Korean as well.
I played that for 100+ hours. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
We should go to Korea. Have you seen these PC bongs where you go in and pay like $9 and you sit in front of a computer and you order food and
yes, I have seen that. But I was gonna go to Korea for the girls. But anyways, okay, we'll go for the PCs. Whatever floats your boat, Colt. Anyway,
you're like trying to chew your wedding ring off. You son of a gun.
Joke's on you. I don't wear one. I think I lost it, to be quite honest. Yeah. I don't even. Dude, I don't wear jewelry, man.
She's going to walk in and we'll just see an arm smack you up the back of the head while we're live on the show. That's what you do. That's
what happened to my wedding ring. Anyways,
I was going to ask you about Batman. Let me get back to Batman just a second, because we never even we didn't even answer it.
Grandpa's Barbecue Game. I got a lot to say. So
I know you do. And I'm going to give you that opportunity. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat, thank you so much for the Australian $5 too. Where is Riskit? I want to see Riskit. Was he in the chat today?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't here last week either.
He's been on hard times, and so
I spoke to him behind the scenes. I didn't. Not on official channels.
Yeah. Shout out to him. Hopefully everything gets ironed out. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat says, "This ponies loves Xbox games. That's why I buy PlayStation, then save for a year or so for the Xbox console. Looks like they won't have to buy that Xbox console next generation." No, probably not. But
no, they won't have to. If you're buying that, if you're buying a PlayStation, you'll be able to play them all there. The only difference is you'll be paying for the Xbox games. You'll be paying full price. So the allure for the Xbox side of things is Game Pass, right? You got the option of Game Pass over there. If that's not your thing and you don't really whatever, you're just gonna buy let's say 1 or 2 games from Xbox a year, then go for it. Then just buy a PlayStation. You'll be able to play them all.
Yep.
And Phil don't give a rat's ass anyway because he's making all the money and sitting back going.
Yeah, for however long he decides to stay doing this. But the
limited amount of time
he has a couple more years left.
Anyway, let's move on.
Remember? Meg called me on Friday. Andy Hart, thank you so much for the £5 super. Another one, thank you so much. Says, so Xbox wants their games everywhere. I understand that makes money, but serious question. Then why make more hardware defeats the object, doesn't it? Well, I mean, we kind of covered this last week.
No, it's still access. It's still access, and they're not going to lose money on it. So they're going to charge you top price.
Yep.
They're going to charge you top price, so they're not taking a loss on the consoles. So it's no skin off their back, right?
Yeah.
And they're just going to produce less. They're going to produce based on demand. So they'll start with like 10 million, and that's it. And they're going to stop at 10 million. And if 10 million sells right off the bat, very much like Nintendo does. And why do you think Nintendo? Those aren't always like manufactured shortages. A lot of that is just because it's a stop loss, right?
Yeah.
So they'll produce X amount, and they're like, okay, sold out. Produce another 20 mil. Or produce another 10 mil based on pre-orders and this and that. And they do that so that they don't lose any money. Microsoft and Sony are going to be following suit moving forward. So them creating a new console is literally going to cost them $0 in the end. They're not going to lose money on anything.
Yeah.
You're not going to have stacks of PlayStation or Xbox Primes or whatever you want to call it sitting in Walmart with nobody buying them. It's never going to happen. They're going to base it all on demand. And that, my guess, is a lot of their sales of the consoles are going to be direct from the Microsoft store. Ben Angelo, good evening to you.
And they've got this OEM thing where they might have their certified consoles that they'll sell that does everything. But the real answer, the easiest answer, Andy, is that some 20 to 30 million people are going to buy an Xbox regardless of the situation. Looking forward, there's people that have probably figured that you can get every game on PlayStation, but they're not going to because all their games they own are on Xbox. And Phil said this for a while, the consoles for them at this point have become a guaranteed set amount of people that they can filter through the store and they can serve them subscriptions and software and everything like that. And they buy the controllers like crazy. The whole Xbox is dead. There's no need to buy an Xbox. I'll say it again. There's never been a need to own an Xbox since 2016, but yet people still buy them because they can still play games.
You still have an audience.
Yeah.
You still have an audience out there. There's still an audience. It's not going to be for everybody. It's not going to do the numbers the other two are doing. It's just not going to happen anymore. But the thing is, it's still going to be a viable service and a viable option for a lot of people. It's not going anywhere. Your digital libraries, at least for the time being, as far as I can see, are not going anywhere. As long as you're going to be gaming, you'd have access to everything. If you want a new powerful console, you can buy one. But just like everything, it's going to be supply and demand. You will be able to buy it. You'll be able to play it. And that's all there is to it. If they decide, I know some people are running out there saying, "Oh, they're only going to release a handheld next generation." I don't believe that's the case.
My gosh!
I was just going to say that's not going to happen. I was going to push back on that.
I was going to say there's like 3 options you have an Xbox consumer, but there's really 4. There's their traditional console, there's their OEM console, there's their handheld, and then there's just going straight PC, which has everything that Xbox offers.
Sure.
All
and
of those have
that's out of their
Xbox
hands.
Offers.
Right?
So.
But I'm not going to lie to you guys, and I can absolutely tell you this. I'm looking directly in the camera at all you. Be prepared to pay, because when it comes out, you're going to be paying a lot.
Yeah,
and
be prepared to pay $700 for the next PS6 too.
I would
or
say
800?
more. I would say closer to $750, maybe $800.
Yeah, it'll probably
The
be
$700 price range is not. That wasn't Sony testing the market or doing anything like that. They're charging what it should be the entire time. They subsidize a lot of these consoles.
They want to make a couple bucks right away. They don't want to lose
Right.
any money on it, and they're in a position that they shouldn't ever have to lose money selling a console.
They're not going to, because you know why? Because the other companies have proven that it's actually fruitful.
Yeah.
Like Apple, for example, makes billions and billions of dollars, and they don't subsidize anything. They charge through the nose for their products, and that's because they're like, well, no, this reflects this reflects the profit and of course the cost of the product. We're not going to change any of that. And we're not going to take a loss on anything. Even though they want you in an ecosystem, whatever else, people will still go there anyway. That's just the way it is. You condition customers, as much as it sucks, I'm just saying that this is just the reality, is that you can condition customers all you want, and it will work. Because over time they will bitch, they will grind, they will stick their feet in the ground, they'll punch the ground like this and kick like a little kid in the grocery store having a tantrum because his mom won't buy Fruit Loops or whatever. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But at the end, you're gonna go along with it anyway, because what are you gonna do? You stop gaming? No, don't be a complete idiot. Don't start with that bullshit.
Yeah. And Magnum says I'm
People
a huge
start with that.
Yeah. Magnum says I'm a massive Xbox fan, but I won't buy their next console unless they offer exclusives again. They'll never offer exclusives.
No, it's done now.
But Magnum,
you got to be there for the software.
Yeah, and Magnum, your thought process of they're not offering me specialized exclusives, so I'm not buying in. You are an outlier in the entire world in the games industry or the gaming consumer market. The amount of people that think that way are so minuscule. And I'm not saying you aren't justified for saying that. I understand you feel that way, and I understand why people think I need to have special treatment. I bought my specialized console. I only want that, and no one else can have it. I understand that feeling. It's been around for many, many, many years, but I just don't think the normalized consumer market when it comes to buying games or electronics thinks that way at all. They just think Phil said that their console has to offer something that the others don't in like features and capability. And if you could play far more games on the OEM or the next Xbox or a PC or the handheld because of how they set up their ecosystem, people are gonna be like, well, I mean, I already own my games. Like if you own 30 games on Xbox and none on PlayStation, you might be able to make that jump, and you might want to say, you know what, there's only 3 there that I need to actually own, so I'll rebuy them on PlayStation. But if you own more than that, that jump can be a little bit more like, ouch. Like I got to give up those games, and I have to really justify. I've said this before on the show. I hate repeating it. How many of those games do I want to just say they're gone, they're locked behind a console I no longer have in my house? Your saves, your everything. That stuff can be important. But do what you want. And I think the future really is do what you want. Play however you want. That restriction is going to go away in the future for everybody. And it'll be much better, I guess. I mean, and I was listening to Gaz's show. Him and Jez were talking, and mostly Gaz was talking about if Xbox would have done this, if Xbox wouldn't have got rid of their exclusives now that they have everything. Keep in mind that they're 2 years too late. They waited too long to deliver on their promise. Would they have been where if my grandmother had wheels and pedals, she'd be a bicycle, like that whole thing. Asking and hoping and praying that Xbox reverses their exclusive decision is never going to happen. And so what I've done is like, I like the consoles. I like the hardware stuff and all that, but I've always been here because of the games, and Xbox is just delivering so many games. It's a great time. Chris has got a super chat. It's going to bring us back on topic. Thank you so much for the super, right. Chris. For $5, Chris says, for a new Arkham, my vote is Batman Beyond. Arkham Knight left the current Rogues Gallery pretty limited. Yeah, it's not my favorite one. He said, also rest in peace, Kevin Conroy, who is the voice of the Batman games and the TV series from the late 90s. Mag, I don't know much, but maybe you can shed some light on Chris's idea that the next game is Batman Beyond. Do you know anything about that part of the franchise? Batman Beyond?
I know about it. Yeah, no.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know what it is.
Oh, no. Oh, Batman. I've been a huge fan of Batman for decades. I know almost everything about Batman. I think that the idea that they went with Gotham Knights was a wasted opportunity because they had the Court of Owls in there,
Mhm.
and the Court of Owls was such a huge adversary to Batman, not to those teenagers. And I think that was a wasted opportunity. Sorry, I hope I
Yeah.
blew everybody's eardrums out by doing that, screaming that. But anyways, that should have been what the fourth Arkham game should have been with Batman in it. But the thing is, what I could see, if you're going to move away from the Kevin Conroy Batman from that game, from those that trilogy, then I think that he's absolutely right. Batman Beyond would be the way to go.
What is
And then
Batman Beyond? What do you know?
Batman Beyond is a lot different. It's a little bit more convoluted. You've got like a Batman from the future kind of idea. You have a younger Batman. You've got like a Bruce Wayne that's like, well, there's like a Bruce Wayne that's like much older, and he's basically like an old man, like tutoring. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
like
which is
tutoring,
sort of
like, a
like
younger-
what Gotham Knights did. Like he
Yeah,
was
but like
tutoring that he was
they
the
they
Gotham
sorta
Knights he was teaching
stole-
them.
Yeah, and what like they sort of stole the idea from several different. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like they stole ideas from Batman Beyond, where he's sort of like the old mentor kind of thing. Like for example, even the DC movies, the DCEU, the Snyderverse, when they started doing what's it called, Justice League, they cast an older Batman who was basically almost retired at that point, like Ben Affleck's Batman with the gray hair and everything else. That
Yeah.
was sort of the idea. And what they were going to do is when they brought in the Michael Keaton Batman and in the Flash movie, what they were going to do is they were going to bring him back, and he was going to be the head of the Justice League, and they was basically going to run like a Batman Beyond kind of thing. And he was going to be like the tutor and mentor to like a younger Batman. Is the idea. You see what I'm saying? And so Michael Keaton was going to be that figure. So he was basically going to be the old man from the Batman
really?
Beyond, old man Bruce Wayne from that. And anyways, they screwed that all up because instead of doing that, they're like, all the identity politics idiots went, oh no, let's just make him do that with Batgirl, which like why? And then of course, guess what happened? They canceled the movie, never released it. I wonder why. Anyways, back to that.
They also canceled the Flash game that WB was working on. That's part of this
That's
news.
right. They canceled the Flash game, and then we're going to get into the WB stuff in a minute. The other problem is now you've put yourself into a corner. Guys, spoiler alert in 5 seconds, okay? 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, spoiler alert for Gotham Knights is that Bruce Wayne dies. All right, in the very beginning of the game. The Kevin Conroy Batman dies, and so he leaves a video behind and like a contingency plan for all the other people in the game, and that's why we have these four younger people running around doing what they're doing, like your Jason Todd and whatever else, and your Batgirl and this and that.
And you played the game, right? Gotham Knights.
Yes, I finished it. Yes,
and it had such great touching moments as they reflected on the one who taught them. And
yes. It had great moments. The story was actually not bad at all. I enjoyed the story. It's just the game itself wasn't so great. And the game, it was a little bit janky. It was, it wasn't like perfect.
Combat was pretty sweaty. Like it was pretty difficult. But
yeah, it was a little bit much. I love the slow motion. I love the slow motion power moves of some of the characters. That was pretty dope. But anyways, on and on. Batman Beyond would be the way to go. But now you painted yourself in a corner with Bruce Wayne dead. So how are you going to do any of this? Are we going to erase Gotham Knights like it never happened?
Chris has a great idea. Batman exists in multiple universes in the comics and shows, right? So you just have to take another one. Like, is Gotham Knights in the Arkham universe? I don't know this stuff.
Yeah, it is, because that Batman dies.
Okay.
He dies in the cave. He dies in the cave where the Batcave literally collapses on him at the beginning of the game, right? And then he has the video of him talking to this. Says, hey, if you're watching this video, that means I'm dead, blah, 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 blah. And then on and on.
If you're watching this video, there's leftover macaroni and cheese in the mini fridge.
It's like, but Master Wayne, you've been dead 3 months. Should we still eat it? Answer me.
When in doubt,
they could do,
throw it out.
Throw it out. What they could do,
you're a
though,
food guy. If you microwave it hard enough, will you destroy all the...
No, just throw it out. If it's longer than 3 days in a standard fridge in your home, maybe 4 days maximum, get rid of it.
Oh, really?
Professional fridge is a lot different because professional fridges are way colder than a normal fridge. It's basically just above freezing point. You can keep cooked food in there for up to 5 days.
Oh, leftovers, like leftover dinners, like in a Tupperware or plastic wrap shouldn't be
Yeah, just
kept.
3 days. 3 days is about 4 days maximum. I mean, you're still alive now, so obviously it hasn't killed you, but like, it's not recommended.
I mean, I do get diarrhea occasionally.
Well, then
I don't
there
know
you
if that's
go.
related.
100%
But like
related.
microwaves, like they send nuclear missiles throughout your food. The molecules, like they don't go in there and just destroy all the stuff that grows you a third arm or anything. Wait,
yeah, sorry, I was reading something in the chat. I missed what you said, and it was really funny. It was a funny joke, but I'm not repeating that joke on the air. Grandpa Barbecue Game Cat actually has.
Let me look at it.
He's like, I know the joke.
Where is it?
It's like, Mag, tell the Wonder Woman. No, the joke's not there. It just says, Mag, tell the Wonder Woman joke with the Flash and the Visible Man, etc., and Superman.
Oh,
it's actually Superman's in the joke as well.
okay.
But I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna
So,
say it.
so what happened with the Wonder Woman game? I think we kind of covered the Wonder Woman thing. Monolith is awesome. Unfortunately, Shadow of War just didn't sell very well, I think, and I thought it was fantastic. But did they just not know what's going on?
The fact that they lost $100 million means that they obviously put a lot of money into the project.
Yeah.
The problem is they're overcomplicating something that doesn't have to be overcomplicated, and that seems to be the problem with everybody these days because they're either trying too hard to shove as many game modes into a game as possible, which is stupid, and then the other thing is. Then when it comes to story and when it comes to whatever else, then they're too busy and worried about shoving whatever politics of the day are popular, and then they're worrying about that nonsense too. Just make a great game, simple, like for example, like Wonder Woman. Why can't you do a combination of God of War with Wonder Woman? She's got her shield, she's got her bulletproof bracelet, she's got her sword. Right?
She's got her shield. She's got her bulletproof vest.
Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't. I was like stumbling on my words there. She's got her shield. She's got her wrist things, and then she's got her sword. Right? You can make it a combination of God of War, a little Cassandra from Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yep.
And a little bit of remember that Xbox game, the Captain America game that was on the Xbox where you threw the shield and bing, 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 and you could do all that cool stuff?
I always wanted to play that. It's one of the few games
dude,
I regret.
It's great.
Yeah, it got like a 6 out of 10 on reviews, and I was like, oh, I don't want to spend $60 on that. And it's one of those games I always regretted that I never went and picked up on sale. Captain American third person. I just heard it was boring, but did you like it?
I loved it, man. It was so much fun, like throwing the shield or whatever. I'm just saying, take aspects from those 3 games. God of War
says remake Rygar like that. What you just explained.
Okay, well you could do that too.
Be amazing.
Take from God of War, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the Cassandra, like even the combat and stuff with the sword and the shield and all that stuff. Do that. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, and of course Captain America: First Avenger on the 360. Do that, and you've got a formula for success. It's very simple, and people are like, "Oh, it's been done before." So has
I don't care. I love before. Before.
But before is still the same as now.
Jeez, I'm yelling.
A shooter is a shooter is a shooter is a shooter. You know what I mean? An RPG is an RPG is an RPG.
You know what, Meg?
These games are like what the frig?
You know what?
What?
Normalize reskinning our favorite games and kind of taking a small twist on.
Well, dude, you know what's funny? They're doing that anyway. They're just remaking all the old games. I'm not saying do an old game. You can make a new game and have some new mechanics or whatever, like even like the way that you dress the character and the different abilities and all that kind of stuff. Do that kind of stuff, fine. And but the controls obviously keep them modern and everything else. But the concept is still a concept. Like for example, in a movie, Hollywood's been around for well over 100+ years now. A comedy is still a comedy. An action is still an action.
And they're all the same
movie.
Formula.
It's a formula that's been
going on. 2 people don't like each other.
Shakespeare.
2 people hate each other, and then they kind of find a way to figure it out in the end, and then they have this bonding moment. And
fundamentals.
The movie is amazing, but
fundamentals will never change. It's just like a myth. What George Lucas talked about with Star Wars. He said Star Wars is no different than a Greek myth from thousands, from 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, whatever. and it's no different, or an Egyptian myth or whatever it is.
Yeah, Star Wars was stealing from like 2 or 3 different things to make it your own, and it's fantastic. This is what I'm thinking, Mag.
You're following a formula. So yeah, so Wonder Woman, just keep it like that. And just make a great story around it, and it would have done just fine. But instead, they got to fart around with all this bull crap and live service stuff and this and looking at these options. Stop. Just make an awesome game, and you would have been just fine. And the game probably would have been coming out this year.
I'd be on board with a little bit of you kept saying a little bit. Magnum said a little bit of Monica. I would have been fine with a little bit of combat from Shadow of War built into the Wonder Woman game, a little bit of God of War. Like, all that stuff works. If I saw that, I'm like, ooh, that reminds me of Shadow of War and God of War. I'm buying that day one. And I'm hope the rest all falls into place. I don't understand why devs don't say, man, people really love Fallout a lot, and you never get a Fallout game because, Bethesda won't work on one because they're busy screwing around with Starfield and piddling around with Elder Scrolls. Let me get back on track. I don't understand why developers don't go, why don't we just make a game that's almost exactly like Fallout? A lot of the same mechanics, a lot of the same world things, but it's not set in post-apocalyptic. It's just set in different setting, different story, different setting, same mechanics, same, all this stuff. I say it's like the crunchy chewiness of games, like certain games, like an RPG like Fallout that has like that picking up loot, scavenging, and building your character with the art, all that stuff that's so chewy and good. Build that
new games,
and just
new areas.
It's just copy the formula. And we're seeing Ken Levine copy his own game. He can't make another BioShock. He's moving on. He's doing Judas, and it's basically BioShock with a different name. And everyone's like, yes, this is what we want. Normalize kind of carbon copying our favorite things. But maybe we live in a world in the modern era where you'll get sued if you do that. I don't know. But
game adaptation newscast. First of all, I don't like your tone.
Yeah.
Second of all, he's like, let's blabber on about something everyone knows. Listen up, smart guy. If everybody knows, then why aren't anybody doing it?
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe you should make a game.
Maybe we should I'm making a game right now. Mag and I are working on it right now.
Yeah.
We're almost done.
I'm programming it as we speak, actually. Anyways, the thing is, like, I know it seems like it's quite obvious.
Yeah, I know.
But apparently it's not obvious because everybody tries to shove all these things into something that's not necessary. Like I said, different worlds, different stories, different settings, different everythings, and then you just apply the same mechanics to it. There's where's the mystery? How difficult is this? I don't understand how these guys are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then you got project managers and executives getting paid millions of dollars for what? You don't know what you're doing. Like WB, for example, outside of the outside of the Hogwarts Legacy game.
Yeah.
What is the matter with you guys? WB from Hollywood all the way down to the video game industry. You guys own some of the biggest IP in the history of the planet.
Mortal Kombat.
When it comes to, you own Mortal Kombat. You own Lord of the Rings, for Christ's sake. You own Harry Potter. You own all of DC. And you guys have these giant claws. And there's a little tiny bunny rabbit, for those who know, you know. And you've got these big claws, and there's a little bunny you got to kill. And
where did this quote come from? The
Swingers.
bear with the big claws who can't kill the bunny.
You don't know how to kill the bunny? It's right in front of your face.
I just heard that the other day. Where did that saying? Who recently said that?
It was me. I was talking about it with you on the phone.
Okay, but if my wife is watching right now she'll understand that I don't just. It's not an exclusive thing to her. I forget. It
makes no sense, man. Like, can't you just make a Lord of the Rings game instead of like a crappy Gollum game that nobody asked for?
What the shunk were they thinking, that Gollum game?
Can you not just make a Dragon's Dogma 2 style game with multiple characters on the screen of Fellowship of the Ring? You own it. You own it.
Do we need to go work there?
Dude, if anybody hired us, they'd be multi-billionaires. With all the crap that all these idiots are doing, they're all chasing their own tails.
Let me
hire us.
Let me put a temperature gauge on that. What Mag means is, it seems like the collective fan base that watches podcasts or that we talk to, like all these people, it seems like we could all have the better ideas or run a studio better, because I always hear so much reason and so many good ideas when I'm in podcasts or from the chat. Like when Meg says we could run a studio better than they could, it's kind of a joke that rings a little bit too true, because it seems like some committee in the conference room is just bombing all of these great ideas and not allowing it to happen.
That's the problem. I don't know how to make a game. I don't know how to run a studio. I know how to run a bit. I don't know how to run. I know how to run corporate.
But I can sit there and eat the bagels in the corner, going,
"This sucks."
I wouldn't do that. You know what people want? You know what people want? By the way, these bagels are fantastic. People want God of War combat, Fallout loot. Go do it. I'm going to get Buffalo Wild Wings.
Dude, that's exactly it. The ideas guys and the people who actually like do the overseeing of like these project managers. Not all of them are hands-on or whatever. You've got the people who are hands-on that work with the developers, work with this, work with that, work with the regional project managers, whatever else, and they're just doing their things. And it's a whole network of people. But the people who sit down and say, "Listen, this is what we're going to do," and we make this happen, and you come to see it to fruition, and that stuff is actually not as difficult as people think. But the problem is people are I think Malik was saying in the chat earlier, he goes, they overcomplicate the simplest things. You own the biggest IPs on the planet outside of Disney, and you don't know what to do with it? You guys are ridiculous. They should have been pumping out Harry Potter games every 3 years. Remember back in the day when they used to release those really good ones on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and then into the PS4. Remember they had like Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and they had Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and those games were great, right?
I never played them, but
oh man, they're so good. They were. I mean, they're a product of their time.
2 years to make the tops. It was crazy.
And they had the Lego Harry Potter games, fantastic games. They had all the Lego DC games. All of them are fantastic, except for Lego Batman 3, that was mediocre. But a lot of those games were really good. And they just stopped. And then just all of a sudden now they don't know what to do. It's like Disney with Blade. You don't know what to do with Blade? He's a guy that kills vampires.
Hopefully Arcane Leon knows what to do with Blade.
I'm sure they do. It seems like they got the tone down. But it's a guy who kills vampires. How insanely complicated could that possibly be? But no, you got to try to shove in Blade's daughter and her girlfriends, and that we too good for men. Shut up. Just make a Blade movie with Blade killing vampires.
Yeah.
Same thing with the game. Arcane. Make a game about Blade slaughtering vampires. I want blood. I want those little little sparks that happen when he kills vampires and all that stuff. And that's it. Yeah. And then have Whistler there. And that's it. I don't need Blade's daughter and a bunch of her girlfriends snapping their fingers and saying, "We don't need no man." And then they take over the show.
That you're referring to?
I read the Blade script that Mahershala Ali shot. He denied because he has veto rights on the script. I read the script. I read 2 of the scripts.
Oh my!
And the scripts came into my hands, and you know what they were doing? They put Blade in the background. And that's why the movie never came out, and it's still on the back burner because they don't know what to do with it, because they just can't get out of the way of their own identity politics. They put Mahershala Ali's Blade in the background, and they basically let his daughter take over the family business of slaughtering vampires. And basically, it was like a bait and switch, and now it's all about Blade's daughter and her 2 girlfriends.
I just don't understand why this stuff doesn't go in front of a committee.
Can't you make a Blade movie? It does, but you know who does? You know who's on those committees? A bunch of blue hairs.
Well,
sorry, honey, my wife's got blue hair.
And then the hand comes in, whack.
Nah, she's not one of those. She's not one of those though.
Yeah, obviously,
she just likes the color.
But you know
I don't understand. Like, what are you doing?
These things get presented in front of the general audience. Like here's a movie, and this is what we're doing with your favorite franchise. We've been seeing this for like 10 years. Here's Sonic. Here's this, and nothing looks right, nothing sounds right. Like, what were you thinking? Like, you could have just asked you could have pooled a small like blind audience and said, "Here's what we're doing with Blade," and they would have went, "No, don't do that. People are gonna hate that."
That's why Mahershala Ali had veto power on the script. He denied 2 scripts back to back, and those scripts ended up in my hand. Well, mind you, him and I were reading the script at the same time. I got handed a copy. He got handed a copy, and it's just like, and then he's just like, "Absolutely not. I'm not doing this." And then they sent him another one, and he's like, "I'm not doing this." And that's why the movie kept getting delayed over and over, because he's like, this is ridiculous. He goes, this is a Blade movie. He goes, why are why are all these other people in the forefront? It's supposed to be about me. I mean, it's not even like an arrogance thing. It's just the name of the movie is called Blade. I want to see Blade. If a video game is about Wonder Woman, I want it to be about Wonder Woman, not some live service nonsense that they were trying to shove into the game as like some kind of a side aspect to the game. Develop the game about Wonder Woman, make a fantastic story, and have it play like those 3 games I mentioned earlier. Pretty simple, I think. You know what I mean? It's not a complicated thing. And you lost $100 million from your stupidity.
Yeah, and that means that Wonder Woman probably can never make money, is how people are looking at it. Like,
which is like, yeah, no, it won't.
Spider-Man 2 cost $200 million, and it took them 8 months to an entire year to finally turn a profit. Wonder Woman is already so far in the hole. There are talks that WB Games might be segmenting their own studios. They have Keystone. I can't remember what the name of the Hogwarts Legacy team's called. It's like right there.
No, it's not Keystone. It's
something like that.
Portkey.
Portkey. That was close. That's pretty close for an old guy. Portkey Studios. They're fantastic. Whatever they do, just let them keep doing that. Let them do their thing. I remember when Hogwarts Legacy's first show, and we were like, "Huh?" You're like, "Come on, you're gonna screw up Harry Potter," and then they freaking grand slammed. Like, oh yeah. NetherRealm, who runs Mortal Kombat, like there is a possibility that Warner Brothers might be looking to sell off some of their studios to pick up these losses. And everyone's like, oh, I wonder if Xbox wants to buy some of these studios. And personally, I think Xbox is their plate way too full as it is. But the reality is that for the most part, all these studios have their own autonomy. Xbox doesn't tell them what to do, doesn't tell them what to make, doesn't, in fact, to their own detriment, does not interfere when they need to interfere when it comes to games receiving some extra polish or whatever. So far, so good with the Xbox studios this past generation, I think. So I don't know if WB needs to do make any rash decisions, but I know that Xbox has been looking at purchasing all of WB games, if not some of them. That could be something we could see in the future. But I mean, it's at this point, who knows? They're just another studio that's in really, really big trouble, and they can't seem to find a way out of it. And then, like you said, Mag painted the picture perfectly. They own some of the biggest franchises in the world, and they don't even know what to do with them. So
it's insane. And like I said, this game could have been well in development by now, not lose $100 million. And the funny thing is, you said, like, they're starting in the hole already. They'll find other ways to swallow that $100 million. But like Disney goes through the same nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, to bring them up again, they've got Captain America 4, whatever you want to call it, coming up in a week or something. And they refilmed the movie 2.5 times. They refilmed the whole movie 2.5 times. Do you know how much money it needs to break even right now? Don't worry, I'll answer for you.
Okay.
$1 billion US to break even. It's not going to make $1 billion at all to break even. Not a chance in hell. And the funny thing is, it's like that you're starting so far back that you just keep digging yourself a deeper and deeper hole. WB, no different. They have a winning formula. By the way, I have some news about Hogwarts Legacy if anybody cares to know.
Lay it on us.
Instead of all the screaming and complaining.
Yeah, help us with good news.
However, Portkey is actually doing a revamped edition of Hogwarts Legacy, the one that's already out now. It's going to have extra content in it, almost like a Game of the Year edition. There's going to be some extra stuff in there. And then they're going to re-release it. I don't know if they're going to add like a little add-on that you only pay $10 if you already own it. Better universe in that respect. So Hogwarts Legacy 2 is well underway, and they are currently working and polishing up a Game of the Year revamped edition of the one that came out 3 years ago. So just letting everybody know.
Okay, we reconnected for a second, but you might have lost Mag saying that all is well with the next Harry Potter game. There's like for a second there would drop. If you're still here, hit the like button. I don't ask very often, but hit the like button. If we can get that like up to 300, it'll make an amazing show. So all of you that are watching, we've got almost 450 plus people watching. So looks like we were only off for a microsecond for a second there.
Oh,
I've got I've got something I want to propose to you. What do you think?
I'm already
of,
married. You know.
Oh,
You can't
okay.
propose
Well,
to me.
that's
I'm already
too
married.
bad.
Anyways,
Bob,
yes, what's up?
Bob Gale, the lead, one of the lead creators of Back to the Future, just shared this week that he can't talk about it, but there is a Back to the Future game in the works. And I'm going to sidestep all of the Telltale Games Back to the Future title that a lot of people liked, where it's like point and click and dialogue based. But since Meg and I talked, we'll go out with this one. Since Meg and I talked about stealing and borrowing from some of our favorite games, I thought I would just ask you this cold question, Meg. If you were going to see a Back to the Future game, what kind of game mechanics or game would you like it to emulate? If it's going to be Back to the Future, like, whoa.
That's really weird.
I know it could be really funky, but what are some things that start to come to mind?
It's not really a game. It's not really like a something you could translate to a game, because I mean it's essentially just an adventure story, and
it's a lot of dialogue and
and like it's comedy and adventure, but like it's not like there's like shootouts and there's big action set pieces that require that. You know what I mean? It's just a story, and I think that's why I'm going to have to go with. I played the Telltale games, the Back to the Future Telltale game, and it was wonderful. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I think they should just leave it where it is. I just think that's I don't know where they're going to go with that. By the way, if anybody's really old or whatever, go to Angry Video Game Nerd and watch him review Back to the Future on the NES. Probably one of his funniest videos.
Oh, yeah. And I remember hating that game. I wanted to love it so much back in the day when it was brand new. And it's awful. It basically boils down to Marty walking down the middle of the road, dodging obstacles. There
was snakes. It was like you were dodging
bees
and bees and stuff, and I'm like, what the hell does this got to do with Back to the Future?
You get the skateboard for a minute, and it's like the worst thing. Once you have the skateboard, you're just gonna die. It's like one hit death. But you're thinking the only way they can do it is another Telltale game, or
I think that like it is what it is. I think they should just leave it as a Telltale game.
They're gonna make a game, so. That's why
I don't know. Like what I don't even know where the hell I would go with that.
Magnum's like, what are you going to do? Fight Biff over and over? I mean, because I don't know. And you can't make a Back to the Future game where it's like Marty, like the cartoon that came out on Saturday morning, where they went to different places and visited the dinosaurs, and you could go anywhere you want. Like that'd be an impossible game to make. But I'm just going to assume that Back to the Future game is going to suck when it gets revealed. But we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a crazy show. Meg, I'm tired. It's been a long day. Check out my channel tomorrow. Let me check here real quick. And I'll tell you the time when you can watch my, okay. Where is it? It's privately scheduled. Yeah. Gosh, I'm just a mess here. Let me click a button here. I want to make sure that you guys get a check on the South of Midnight preview. It is scheduled for 8 a.m. tomorrow. Yes. 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time is when you'll be able to watch that and see some gameplay for South of Midnight and kind of get a feel of what that game is like. That is all embargo till tomorrow. And then coming 2 days later on Thursday is my big review for Avowed, which was huge video. I shared what the timeline looked like. It was, I loved I love production like that. So yeah.
Awesome.
I'm going to be playing a little bit more of Avowed, and I've been playing around with South of Midnight since I have it available for a couple more days, and also a little bit of Mass Effect 2. So that's what I'm doing. What are you going to be playing? Excellent. And where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on the Mag Show on my channel. I am currently, thank you, Happy Bomb, for putting the link to my channel in the chat there. I released a new video just Sunday. I am at 998 subs. I am 2 away from 1,000 in less than a month of having the channel open. So that's super exciting. If I get to that 1,000, hopefully tonight, I'm going to be opening up that bottle of champagne this week. You'll be finding, for my first milestone, you'll be finding me playing, actually, I'm going to be playing tomorrow with my wife. We're going to be playing Space Marine 2 live on Till Death Do Us Part. The next 3 Wednesdays, I can't do Wednesdays because I have a ski program with the kids on Wednesday nights for the next 3 weeks. So instead of Wednesdays for Death Do Us Part, we're going to be doing them on the Tuesday nights for 3 weeks. So it's starting tomorrow. I'll be doing that. Friday, I'm going to be doing It Takes Two with the boy. On the Mag and the Wolfman, and of course I'll be releasing videos throughout the week whenever news drops. You will see something from me. My understanding is that there's going to be a PlayStation, what the hell they call it? PlayStation, State of Play.
State of Play. Yeah.
There's a rumor the State of Play is happening on Friday the 14th. That's Valentine's Day. If that is indeed the case, I will obviously be watching it and reviewing that on the channel. And any other news, Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo coming my way, you'll get that. I even do the reviews and reactions to movie trailers. I've done a bunch of them. People really liked my breakdown of the Fantastic Four I did last week, and because I know the lore, I know the characters, I know the comics, and I even knew that Red Ghost was in Fantastic Four number 13, and I talked about that in the trailer reaction. So
I'm glad you're
check
having
that
fun
all out,
making.
man.
Yeah, I'm glad you're having fun making that content. And
I love it,
go
man.
check
I love
out
it.
Meg's videos.
I love
when
it,
he
dude.
talks the gaming news, like he just goes. He just turns on the camera and he just goes. And it takes a lot of guts to do that. Chris, thank you for the $5 super chat that reiterated it. Gotham Knights is considered a separate universe from Arkham, so Batman can still be around. So yeah, sorry I missed that one while we were talking, but we appreciate you guys.
Maybe I missed that. Maybe I missed that detail because it seemed like it was Kevin Conroy's Batman on the screen. It was the same face.
Yeah, I don't know this stuff.
It was a different universe than yeah, like in the DC universe and even the Marvel universe, all the Earths are different Earths. Like there's a bunch of them, right?
Happy Bomb said that you are at 1,000 subs. I'm gonna.
I was about to say
this.
Jacob Tapua. Yeah, he just said, Mag, you hit 1,000K.
Look at that 1K, bro.
I'm gonna look at it right now. Hold on.
Go look. Yeah, hold on. I gotta see your face when you do that.
I'm gonna look. Yeah, it hit it, man. It's
Isn't that awesome? Yes.
Amazing. Yeah,
but Meg, I remember
that's
I
one.
was
That's one.
I was
That's one.
I was out of town in Seattle with my family, and I had a Ghost Recon Wildlands video that did really well, and it pushed me up to 1,000 when I saw that number. And I was with my family, and my kids were a little bit younger then, but I was so happy, bro. I'm so happy for you because I know the feeling. It's
169,000 more to go, and I'm coming for you, Colt. 169,000 more.
I don't doubt it. We appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for being here on the show. Man. Yeah, we appreciate you. Check out the show after the fact if you're here. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Podcasts, and thank you for everything. Hit the like button on the way out. Send a little comment after we're done, and we'll see you next week. Stay tuned to both of our channels. Lots of content coming up, and we're just here to talk gaming because we love it almost as much as you guys. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you guys later. Mag, call me sometime. Whenever,
You'll hear from me, sir.
Later.
Have a good one.